the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnop.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vane, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Rick Watson's got the mic, he's the big dog king. Cover sports so sharp, it's a new river thing. Virginia Tech fire, rapid pride too. Every stat, every play, he's bringing it to you. He's got that voice, deep as a valley, breaking it down, no dilly, no dally. Big dog sports talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big dog sports talk, lighten up the dark. He's got the scoop, faster than a sprint. Calling plays like a coach, every word's a hint. From the course
How
to
is
the
everybody?
field, the stories unfold. Rick's play-by-play.
Yeah, he's wearing a full. What's cool about the figure? He's just got a full, like a real fur coat on.
He'll pull you in.
Absolutely.
Big Dog's podcast.
By the way, it's
The games begin. Big Dog's
wind chill -3 here in Reiner outside of our family fencing studio. That's right, -3.
every day, every night, from the Hokies
Hit us
to
up
the Highlanders.
inside the McClellan Chiropractic chat room and, of course, on the Professional Incorporated text line. Final show of 2025. Had originally planned to do a show tomorrow, but with the change in schedule, I'll be traveling with Neil Leahy down to Spartanburg, South Carolina for the Big South Conference opener for the Highlanders, 2 o'clock against USC Upstate. We'll be on the air at 1:30 on the Radford Sports Radio Network. But I hope everybody's getting ready for, you know what we need? I'm going to write about it this week in the Patriot. We need better things to happen from a sports perspective in 2026. It wasn't a great 2025, right? Tech football in flux, had to fire their coach, 3 wins. Hopefully, James Franklin delivers on all the very positive vibes everyone seems to be throwing at him. UVA football, the best story, right, of 2025. Record-setting 11 wins. People can talk about the schedule and all these things all they want, but the bottom line is this. After year 1, Tony Elliott had to deal with the senseless murder of 3 of his players and get the program navigated back on course somehow. And what happens 3 years later? They have 11 wins. They break all sorts of records. So he deserves his flowers. I know they didn't get it done in the ACC championship game, but he deserves his flowers. He does. From the sound of Rick Watson's voice over the early morning podcast stream to the robust morning coffee in my Palm Coast cup, letting off steam, BDST is live and online. That means Morris is feeling better because he's back to rhyming. Good stuff, Morris. By the way, Damien Sordelett joins us at 6:30 today. We'll get his take on 2025, the year in review. Brian Seigla from the Boundary Corner podcast at 7. They just had their state of the program at the Boundary Corner. We'll get his take on everything, see what those guys surmised. David Smith, the Radford Hall of Famer, will round up the NFL heading into the last weekend, and then Mike Burnop to finish off the day. Tech tomorrow against UVA in ACC basketball action. And this is when the basketball season really becomes interesting to me because we're diving into conference play. And it's very exciting. No more Division III games. No more dealing with mismatches throughout the month of December. No more scheduling for success. You now see if the efforts to get as good as you can and ready as you can pay off here in 2026. So there's a lot of excitement there. And, there must have been a lot of people tuned into this broadcast yesterday. We did have over 1,000 views, but everything we talked about yesterday morning, I saw all day on X. News stories written about the state of college football, college athletics. Basically, every talking point that Coach Elmation and Coach Grantham had yesterday showed up. And I'm thinking, shouldn't they have given us a little bit of a footnote of credit? Iowa State has 16 players left. As of today, Iowa State football has 16 players left. Of course, Matt Campbell went to Penn State. JMU lost its starting 11 offensive players. Coaching change. This thing is headed for complete implosion. I don't know if it'll be 2026 or not. Who knows? As Todd Grantham said yesterday, the system is not sustainable. Many people don't care whether it's sustainable as long as they're getting their own out of it. We are cutting edge, TLB. We are. I do take pride in the fact when I see later on, like when it showed up on Game Day a few months ago, the things we had talked about, the exact statement. I've seen that 4 or 5 times. It does make you wonder if somebody's watching. Hello. Take all you want. Take our content. It's okay. We don't mind. But for all of us, 2025 wasn't a great sports year. And I am going to write about that. You think about it. Look how tired we are of professional sports. We're not sure if what we're watching is legitimate, even in the NFL. The officiating is at an all-time low. The league does nothing about it. The curious outcomes of games, the league does nothing about it. The conversation, as I mentioned, whether it's legitimate or not, now surrounding certain plays. Now folks are cutting out highlights of games, a play or two, and they're just asking the question, hey, is this real? That's not good. Major League Baseball, unless you're a Dodgers fan, who cares, right? The richest team in sport that can defer over $3 billion in salary wins another World Series. That's not healthy for the game. The NBA, yet again, flagged now by the feds for cheating, for their games being fixed because of relationships with betting. ESPN can't get its head out of its ass, right? It tries to act as if it's so superior in every way with its sports coverage, but yet here they are getting involved in betting. They had to dissimulate their ESPN betting app, had to disassociate with the casinos because of the conflict of interest. The NCAA comes out mid-year and says, you know what? It's okay. All you athletes, you can bet on professional sports, but let's stay away. No, we don't want you to click those bets for the collegiate sports. We can trust you to do that, can't we? Doesn't it sound like politicians? Happy New Year, Troy. Yeah, hopefully 2026 will be better for Virginia Tech and Pulaski County. I think it'll be better for one, maybe not the other. So 2025, we had a lot of scrutiny we don't want to talk about. We just want to enjoy the games. We want to come on here on the show and review the weekend and think, wow, that was a great game, boy. Great competition. But no, we have to get drawn into all this other stuff. And nobody is doing enough about it because so many people are benefiting financially from it. It's just the same old story that we've seen since the beginning of time, right? All the corruptness of business throughout the construction of America, through the industry, through the Wall Street age, whatever it might be, right? Whoever is getting theirs, they're not going to rock the boat because they're getting theirs. And now it's catching up with all, I think, of professional sports in particular, and it's certainly caught up with college football. We don't talk about it in college basketball as much because we have seen the portal handled differently because there's not as many guys going out in terms of having to fill up a team. I mean, this year alone, I was looking back yesterday. I had to go into the office. Kind of depressing when you have to go into work and nobody's there. But hey, it's why I'm a professional. I was looking back at how many games Radford has played against teams that had to reconstruct their entire roster. 5 opponents this year on Radford's schedule had one or no players returning from last year's team. And that's not all because of coaching changes. That's because of just players going to the portal. 5. I mean, Radford in itself only had one player coming back with the coaching change. So something's got to give. But on a college basketball scale, it's evened out a lot of the mid-majors. We saw more mid-major upsets in the non-conference this year against P4s. People don't focus necessarily on college basketball yet because college football is finishing up. You have the dreaded playoff controversy. This year, it was which coach was going to jump, how many coaches, 30 almost. I guess there may have been 25 or 30 coaches. Moved from one school to the other, either by choice or they were fired. We were following all that, the whole Virginia Tech thing. Craziness, man. 2025 was not a great year. Not a great year. Even though my beloved Broncos won the AFC West. Moore says let's all get behind curling. Start an NRV team and call it the Yakety Yaks. Don't come back. No, we don't want anything to do with Yaks ever again. I will give them credit, though. No matter how superficial or embarrassing it may look, they continue to stand by that god-awful choice of the new nickname of the Salem baseball team. Every time they post something about selling merch, people just fire back in the comments. And then they got nailed for putting AI created comments about their merch, and then everything disappeared. You can't make it up. Yeah, how about this wind? I tell you what, the 2 worst elements of winter, well, I hate wind anytime. But you're right, Wayne. Nothing worse than the wind. Ice is worse, but the wind, and that's why you have a -3 wind chill. What are we doing? Supposed to stop today about 3 o'clock, I saw. T-Boo Marketing in Salem. Yeah. I think it's hilarious they got caught putting AI positive comments and people immediately saying, what are you doing? And then they took them down. Because it ended up being all these negative comments from actual people. And then you had like 100. Oh, this is great. What a great rebrand. But, it all comes back. And then I saw people wording it just like we did yesterday on the show. And, yes, I am going to give the program flowers because I saw all these headlines on X. How much more are fans going to contribute? How much more are fans going to support? We just brought all this up yesterday. It's a personal decision you have to make. If you decide you want to do it and you have the means, there's nothing wrong with that. If you decide you don't want to do it or you can't do it, there's nothing wrong with that. But with the lack of loyalty, think about if you're a 20-year contributor to Iowa State Cyclones football. Think about that for a second. And you look up today, and there are 16 players left in your program. 16. Yeah, they did, Wayne. They got destroyed for that too, using bots and fake. I mean, that's how bad the rebrand has gone for them. Paul says, "Hold my beer. I'm about to yak." You named your team after a slang term of throwing up. And don't try to tell me, well, a yacker is a home run term. No. It's not why they did that. They thought they were going to be clever. They thought way too hard about the situation. And they're continuing to be ridiculed, and rightfully so, because it is a horrible, horrible rebrand. That is an epic fail of a rebrand. But people were asking the questions, writing articles on X. And I'm talking about major publications. How much are you going to continue? We talked about this yesterday. It's up to you. Are you just going to fall back into it? A lot of people will. I won't say most, but a lot of people will. Paul says maybe they should have used AI to come up with a better name. Perhaps. But 2025, I mean, when your biggest community program, which is Virginia Tech football, the one that stirs the drink of sports here in the New River Valley and Roanoke Valley, is as bad as it was and as bad as it's gotten, it can't be a great year. But there's hope on the horizon. UVA deserves their flowers. You can criticize their schedule. You can talk about how they didn't win the ACC title game. All that's true, but they still set a program record with 11 wins, 3 years removed from 3 players being murdered while they were sitting on a bus. I think a lot of times we forget. And that's something that we here in the New River Valley should never forget about, considering what happened on the campus of Virginia Tech. So what Tony Elliott was able to do then and then that following year, just to keep anyone involved integrated into thinking about football, and then 3 years later they're playing in the ACC championship game, you're damn right he deserves his flowers. Throw away all your shade and your bitterness if you're a Tech fan about the schedule. Let's put that into proper perspective, shall we? We're all smarter than that. I'm not saying it's going to be maintained. And look, I know they hit the portal. But I'll tell you one thing. If you're a Tech fan, don't you wish Brent Pry and Tech would have evaluated in the portal the way Tony Elliott did? Am I right? Morris says it's shocking we're in such a short period of time that all sports is where it's at. There are no adults. No. And that's where it all shows up, lack of leadership. At every level, a lack of leadership continues to show through. Individual universities and athletic departments, no leadership. Conferences, no leadership. Certainly the NCAA, no leadership. And it's all because of what I said, the corruptness of everybody getting their own, having their palms greased. They don't care. They just don't care. Paul says, I like Todd's idea of having the bowl games at the beginning of the year. The only thing I wonder is how you pick those teams, but playoffs would be at the end of the year, include the divisional champ. Yeah, that'd be the only sticking point I can see, Paul. Like, I don't know how you decide. I guess you could come to an agreement where you figure out a way to make the conferences more money. Teams will go, okay, yeah, we'll play in that game. Wayne says, there you go, right perspective. I despise UVA, but they invested and paid off. Schedule lined up perfect, but our schedule in 24 lined up, and that was our fault. Correct. Because of bad hires in Blacksburg. And now Tech Fan is hoping that they have the right hire. We'll see. Yeah, a lot of people were saying to me, I got to be honest, I thought that was pretty embarrassing. That whole staged call that they showed James Franklin making in a hotel lobby. He's recruiting someone in another sport, just happened to have it on camera. They ended up posting it on the Football X account. Something like, always recruiting our guy. Really? So you haven't been heard from since you took over. You kind of locked everything down, and that's the first thing that you put out? Oh, hey, but people were eating it up, baby. That's my coach. Just so happened to have a camera going while he's on that phone call. You could have done that somewhere, walking down a hallway. Nah, got to get PR out of it. Morris says, I'm so sad more than anything. They took our beloved college football from us. Hard to watch. Yeah, that's what it feels like. And, you go into the playoffs, tomorrow night, I think there's the first game, and then you have 3 on New Year's Day. And I got to be honest, I'm not fired up for the quarterfinals. I mean, it is what it is. It's a result of all the things that we've talked about since we restarted the program on August the 11th. And this is where we have it. I mean, how excited are you? I want Indiana to do well. Hey, Jeff, how are you, man? I hope Miami does well. I'm still pulling for the ACC, but I'm not invested. I'm not watching those games invested. I mean, I don't bet on the games, so I don't have a fan. I wouldn't mind seeing those 2 results. I think it'd be great if Miami kept it going after all the ridicule the ACC went through. I'm pulling for Kurt Signetti hugely in Indiana. I think their quarterback is one of the few really down-to-earth superstars in college football. And they're taking on maybe the bluest of all the blue bloods, Alabama, right? It's just a big challenge for them. But how invested are we in these playoffs? I don't know. For me, not very much. Will I have the games on New Year's Day? Sure. Sure I will. I hope I can find that within me to get fired up about certain things, but I don't know. I mean, I even watch my Broncos play now, and it's just kind of, you don't get as, I'm not as, you just go, and I don't think that's our fault. I don't think it's because we're becoming, get off my lawn, and we're not adjusting to things. I don't think anyone's ever adjusted to corruptness, right? And improprieties that are as widespread as they are and sold to us as that's just the accepted way. That's not on the fans. That's not our fault. That is not on our fault. It's just not. Enough's enough. But again, we'll go back. This is our discussion yesterday, and I saw an article. Fans will go back. We'll go back. Many people were already talking about how excited they are. We were talking about, even during the conversation yesterday, about how bad college sports was. There were people in chat saying, yeah, it really sucks. Boy, I can't wait till next year's Tech season. Okay, well, that's why things keep happening. They know we're going to come back every time. By the way, Wayne, anybody out there, I need a really good suggestion for a nice restaurant in Roanoke. It's the fiance's birthday. I don't think we want to do it around here. Wayne, you're right there. Anybody else? What's a good restaurant in Roanoke? A quality restaurant, that you can take someone and it feels a little special. Paul says Frankie Rollins. All right, there's our first one. I don't think I even knew that. No, not Panera. No, Jeff. No. Jeff, we've been through this, haven't we? Montana, 419. I've heard of 419. Chop House. Is that Joe Montana's? Yeah, hit me up. Let me know. I need to write all these down. Do I have a pen? I do. I wasn't prepared. I asked the question, then I'm not prepared. And no, I'm not going to put Panera on the list. So we got Montana, 419, Chop House, Frankie Rollins. Okay. I'm catching up now. Frankie Rollins. Oh, I'm getting multiple Frankie Rollins stuff here. We'll come back to that. Joining us now on the program. Appreciate him joining us a little early. I didn't want to go another week without him. We're not doing the show tomorrow or Thursday. It's Damien Sordelett. What's up, DF? How you doing, man?
Morning. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Yeah, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you. 2025. Anything good happen? I was trying to think, from our perspective, what we cover, right? The tech season was a disaster, and then we went through the coaching change. UVA, give them their flowers, right? 11 wins. What am I missing? Anything else good happen in 2025?
James Franklin was hired. I mean, that was good.
You hope. We hope.
Yeah.
Right? You hope it works out.
The athletic department got $229.2 million infused into it. But I think, Virginia Tech was probably due one of these years. You don't want to see it, but sometimes you have to go through a lull like this in order to get back to where you once were. And maybe getting Franklin on board and have him build out the staff, and we'll see how he builds out the roster here in January. Be interesting to see how that unfolds. Maybe getting a reset this season is good for Virginia Tech and can get the Hokies some momentum going into next year.
When do you think we'll start getting some leaks about who they've gotten deals with out of the portal? Because those are now in place. They can't announce it till after the second. When do you think we'll start hearing?
I would say probably the 5th or the 6th. You don't want to pop on that like on January 2nd, because then it's like, oh, they definitely talked to him before the portal opened. So I would say give it a couple days. National writers have pointed this out, and I think we've spoken about it. You're going to have to be very quick, because most schools, their semesters start on January 20th. So you're probably going to have to be really quick on making sure you get committed, you get enrolled, you get everything figured out, because it's going to take a while. It's a very lengthy process that they're shortening into maybe a week, that you have to get all the ducks in a row before you get on campus. So, that'll have to happen very quickly. So I would say just a couple days into the portal window, I think we should start hearing some names. Considering the number of names from Penn State, I'd say a lot of them probably are coming to Virginia Tech. I don't know if all of them, but I'd say a good, healthy amount. I saw some West Virginia offensive linemen have entered the portal who played for Matt Moore. And what does Virginia Tech need? Veteran offensive linemen. Could go that route. So I'd say, it should be fairly quick, I would say, but not like immediate. I'd say within the first couple of days, I would say you get people coming in.
And then we'll probably hear more and more about players that have been asked to go ahead and hit the portal too, right? It goes both ways. That door swings on both sides, right?
Yeah. I'm surprised we've only heard from 3 scholarship guys and 1 walk-on who have entered the portal. That's kind of surprising to me that that number's low. And there's also some guys like Aiden Green, Quentin Reddish, who we haven't heard from. what they're doing. Caleb Woodson's another. It'll be interesting with him because he was found guilty on both of his misdemeanor cases, and he's got supervised probation for a year. So I don't know if that's going to transfer with him to if he transfers to say another school out of state. Does he have to do a supervised probation in that general district court versus doing it in Montgomery and Christiansburg? So that'll be interesting to see. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out. I'm expecting we'll get a few more who will stay. He didn't get an ankle monitor, Wayne. He did get an interlock on his car with a 12-month suspended license, so he's not going to be driving, except to and from the interlock monitoring location.
Right.
So his parents might say, "Yeah, you're not going to have a car. You're on 12-month probation. You don't need to do anything that would jeopardize that."
That's very true. Very, very true. And then I'm guessing, though, we'll get the official announcement finally at some point from Tech about the coaching staff and so forth. I know everything's still on shutdown over there. So,
well, it's not stopping these coaches from saying what their positions are. I mean, you have all your coordinators hired. I think the only positions you're missing right now are in the secondary with cornerbacks and safeties. And I've heard Anthony Midget come up as a potential secondary coach or cornerbacks coach. Doug Shear is the special teams coordinator. He posted that on his socials. From UConn. I was looking this morning to see if there was a punter, since Tech needs a punter, and they don't have. He had a redshirt freshman who was behind the starter, so he has no punting experience, but he has experience with Shear, so he could come on down because right now Tech doesn't have a punter.
Is Love back as the kicker? Is he at one more year?
Kyle Love's back. Kyle Lowe graduated. So you have John Love, you have Christian Epling as your long snapper.
Okay.
It's punter. Unless you want to go to the freshman who was already on the roster, kid from Bassett, I believe. If he's good, go with him. But I think that's a walk-on position. So
yeah.
If Shear likes the guy who was the backup punter at UConn, who had handled a couple kickoffs last season, bring him down. That's kind of what Jonathan Galante told me he did. When he went from Marshall to Tulane, he brought the punter with him, and the punter did really well. So,
well, it's going to be very interesting to see how all it shakes out heading into the spring. Going to be so much intrigue for the spring game. I hope things loosen up over there for all of you guys in terms of being able to get some information by then. But it's got to be a little frustrating, right? Because you just don't know. I keep seeing stuff come out from other people outside of the area, and I don't understand why that approach has been taken, but it has.
Yeah. Well, when someone posted when Franklin was hired at Penn State, he waited till mid-January for Penn State to make the official announcement about everything, and it seems like that's going to be the case at Virginia Tech. And I went back and read a few things, and people were reporting, "Oh, he's coming here," or "Oh, yeah, he posted he's here." So he's handling the same thing he did at Penn State, and I think once he gets to know us, he'll probably loosen things up a bit. But we'll have to wait and see.
How do you see the games coming up here in the quarterfinal? You think Miami has a shot to keep this thing rolling? I know they're going to be big underdogs, but why not go in there, roll in there with some momentum, right? They have a really good defense. And what do you think, man? Who you think is going to come out of this heading into the semifinals?
I think Miami covers, but I think Ohio State's too good.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I think this is going to be like similar to the Big Ten title game. The Miami's defensive line is just as good as Indiana's defensive line, and that's what caused a lot of problems for Ohio State. So I could see Miami making life difficult for Justin Saying. I don't know if Miami has a shutdown corner that can handcuff Jeremiah Smith. That might be the difference. I think it's going to be like a 16-10 game, something along those lines. I think it's going to be low scoring. I think Ohio State's too good, and the other ones, I really like Texas Tech, but that's such a bad matchup with Oregon because Oregon's getting healthy, especially at the skill position players. And unless Texas Tech's front can make Dante Moore's life miserable, if he has time to throw, he will pick them apart. But I still think Texas Tech's good enough to win that one. So I'd say the two teams that got that's now two teams that got buys that win, and that didn't happen at all last year. Indiana, I think, wins, and then sneaky, I'm going Ole Miss to beat Georgia.
Oh, there you go. Why not? Yeah, I'd like to see that. Actually, it'd be kind of cool. Why not?
I mean, it was a one touchdown game when they played earlier in Athens, and Trinidad Chambliss looked good until late in the fourth quarter. So I think. Yeah, for some reason I'm liking Ole Miss in that matchup. That's the one quarterfinal winner. That's the one first round winner that I see winning that one. And so yeah, that would set up two Big Ten teams. I like Texas Tech to keep going, and then Ole Miss to be the stunner in the finale of the quarterfinal round.
I can see all those things happening. I really could. I guess I'm really kind of pulling for Indiana. I'm not as invested. The way everything that's happening in college football, it's hard, the aftermath of everything. I saw all these reports yesterday. Iowa State's got 16 players left, JMU loses its whole starting 11. It's just that way across the country, and nothing. Yeah. When do you think this thing's finally going to blow up? Because it's not going to stay sustainable the way that it is.
It's going to blow up it's going to blow up, and I don't know what the catalyst is going to be for that. Honestly, Notre Dame opting out of a bowl game, which it would have been in the Pop-Tarts Bowl against BYU, which would have been a fantastic game.
Yeah.
I mean, Georgia Tech BYU was a fantastic game, but Notre Dame BYU would have been a fantastic game. But I think that there's going to be a trickle down from Notre Dame. Like, man, we didn't make the playoff. We're going, I think there's going to be something else like that happen. And then I don't know. I'm wondering if with what college basketball is doing right now with the mid-year guys being immediately eligible, if something like that happens with college football and a guy transfers and tries to say, I want to play in this college football playoff with this new team.
Yeah.
I want to ensues his way to do it. That might be something, but something's going to light the fuse that forces an implosion that gets everything done. I don't know what that's going to look like, but something's going to happen. And I don't know how this resets, but it just needs to be reset. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. There's a reset across the board on how
it has to be. It has to be. Many people think eventually the bowls will move to the start of the season. I guess the only hold up, I don't know how you pick the teams for that. But again, if the networks can make money, they'll figure it out. The conferences can make money. They don't care. The bowls are worthless. And that's the thing. I hate to see how really, they were showing shots, the Birmingham Bowl yesterday.
Yeah.
There was maybe 1,000 people there. It was incredible.
And tickets were going for like $50-something. Like that should have been $5.
What are we doing
to get in there?
Right. A token here. Go to the game room. Take this token.
Yeah, but you put you put a 6-6 team against a 5-7 team. That's what's going to happen. Like right after Christmas, that need to be a pre-Christmas bowl game. Hugh Freeze said this when he was at Liberty and I was covering the Flames. He said most bowl games should be pre-Christmas, unless you're like one of these big marquee bowl games, like one of the New Year's Six bowl games. He's like, if you're in one of these smaller bowl games, you should play before Christmas, because who wants to travel for, like you said, the Birmingham Bowl, and like, oh, we have to leave after Christmas and it's before New Year's, and is this really a good way to spend our money during the holiday season? Rather, if you do it before Christmas, get it done, get home, you got the entire holiday season, nothing to worry about.
Right.
I would say if you move bowl games before, at the beginning of the season, that should be some of your G5, P4 matchups. Or some of them, because you're not scheduling them anymore.
No.
I mean, James Madison, if Virginia Tech has to move that game for next year, which seems like that's going to be the case, James Madison's going to be left with another year of not playing any power conference opponents.
That's right.
And not by its own doing.
Mm-hmm.
They've tried. Liberty's the same way. ODU is going to be the same way here soon once the Virginia Tech series comes off. So it's getting tougher and tougher for those teams to find power conference opponents, so might as well put them in the bowl games at the beginning of the year. And with the transfer portal, if you say, oh, we got a 10-win team here like ODU against a 10-win team like Washington. Washington won 9 games. But you could say, oh, that could be an intriguing matchup. Yeah, but ODU, portal-wise, lost a lot of good players.
Yeah.
So is that going to be a good game at the beginning of the year? So
I know. I think the first thing we're going to see is a change in the playoff format, because how bad do you think the G5 performances in these games is going to make people even more apt to say, hey, you know what? We're going to go ahead and make this a 16-team thing, and now we're going to really look at the inclusion that we've allowed into this tournament. I could see them shutting them out going forward. I really could.
Well, James Madison did. I mean, everyone's going to give James Madison credit for hanging around with Oregon. Though, if Dan Lanning had his way, his starters on defense probably would have been in the entire time, and I don't know if that game's as close as it turned out to be. I don't know. It's the antitrust things. And I thought ESPN did a good job, at least in the Tulane game, Joe Tessitore breaking it down, of the antitrust lawsuits that would come out of these G5 leagues not being included in playoffs moving forward, unless you want to say you create a G5 playoff. And I don't know if ESPN wants to shell out more money, unless you need to go find another TV suitor that would be willing to pay a good bit of money to broadcast this, and that would be where the G5s wouldn't be at a net loss. I could see that helping, and I think that might be the direction that they're going to go. I mean, if the super conferences happen, that's probably going to end up. What's going to happen is you're going to have the breakaway from the big teams, and then these other teams, they're going to need to do their own playoffs. So,
it's going to happen.
100%
that's going to happen. Absolutely.
Wayne, so I think when the ACC announces when these games are being played for the 9-game league schedule, I think that's when there'll be more clarity on when Virginia Tech drops its 4th non-conference game on the schedule.
And we know it's JMU because Matt Roan was on the program 2 weeks ago and said they're dropping the game. So we know it's JMU. So there's no more questioning. It's just a matter of when they're going to.
Well, you want to know what's going to be a proverbial kick in the balls to JMU? Is that week also happens? VMI has an open week that week, and if the ACC puts Virginia Tech in a league game on week 1, they just move VMI to week 4.
Wow.
That could happen.
Yeah.
And because from the ACC perspective, do you want James Franklin's first game against VMI, or do you want it against at SMU? Could it be at Boston College? Could it be at? Selfishly, I want it either at Cal or at BC because there's the possibility the Giants are still playing or the Red Sox are still playing at that time of year, and I can either go to not Candlestick, Oracle.
You go watch a baseball game
on a Friday night and
Why
go
not?
cover a game.
There you go. Well, they should consult with you. Say, hey, which would you rather go see?
Well, yeah, and then the ACC has to wait for the NFL schedule to be released because, as Damien Sordelett brought up, they can't get the Miami games and Pittsburgh games scheduled until they know what the Steelers and the Dolphins schedules look like. So that's why we're waiting till late January to find out what the league schedule looks like. Versus doing it right now and then,
Well, it shall be interesting to see how it all plays out, but we'll see.
Wayne, I'm a Braves fan.
He just wants to go to the ballpark for the experience. I get that. I've done that. Yeah.
Yeah, Fenway. I want that. That's on bucket list.
Yeah, go to Fenway for a ball game. It doesn't matter who's playing, right? You're just there. You're there.
I'll tell you this. I did not want to be at one of the Fenway Bowl or the Pinstripe Bowl because those are open air press boxes.
Yeah, it was cold. Yeah,
and the Clemson and Penn State beat writers were saying we had snow flurries coming into the press box as the game was going on. I'm like,
oops,
it's a bit cold. It's a bit chilly.
Oops. Yeah, not good.
Yeah.
Well, all right, brother. Well, listen, thanks for jumping on, man, and I hope you have a great new year. And thanks for all you do. Looking forward to seeing where things go here very quickly with some more information coming out about Tech's roster.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Next week might about this time next week on the 7th when we get back together, there might have some stuff happening.
I think so. I believe so.
Because the portal will close the week after that. So I think by that time we'll have an idea of who Franklin's bringing in and how much of this roster is really, as Terry Wiggins put it, Penn State 2.0.
Yep, we shall see. All right, brother. Hope you celebrate the holiday in grand style. Appreciate you, man. Stay safe.
We'll do.
All right, man.
Happy New Year, guys.
Yeah, Happy New Year, brother. There you go. Damien Sordelett, appreciate everything he does for the program. The Tech football beat writer for the Roanoke Times. I hope he gets some things to write about soon. I think programs across the country are going to start leaking some names. I do. Family Fencing. Thank you to them, by the way. Happy New Year to Jason Green and everybody. Family Fencing, sponsor of our studio. Get a free quote, 540-200-8294. Thanks to Mark Hundley, McClellan Chiropractic, sponsor of our chat room. They get so much play. Thank you so much, Mark. Still have to get over there. I didn't get over there in December. I will get there in January. That I guarantee. Thanks to Bob Christ and the Ready Set Fund, ReadySetFund.com. Help yourself out. Research them. BobChrist11@gmail.com. If you want to raise money, they will take care of you in the best way possible. Thanks to Pulaski County Sports Entertainment. Cannot wait. We're going to start. What I want to start doing is doing live broadcasts, like from some of the events and some of the places they have over there. Thanks to Jonathan Sweet and Tim Miller. Great people. Bigger things going to happen coming up. Thanks to Charles Lee, Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg, 540-553-2971. Every time I see it's cold outside and I hear that wind, I think about my new air and heat units and smile, thinking about Little River Heating and Air. Ryan Pry, the attorney, he specializes in trust and estate planning, 701 West Main Street. Our BDST fan question of the week. And it's been huge. Thank you for that. What are you looking most forward to in 2026? That's our BDST fan question of the week. We'll have the answers on Fridays. Hit me up on our Professional Door Incorporated text line. Thanks to Larry Ramsey, National Bank member FDIC, the official banking partner of the program, the exclusive banking partner, and Travis Williams, Professional Door, residential, commercial garage doors, family owned and operated, 38 years in business right across from New River Community College, sponsor of our text line. Awesome stuff. Louise Baker, thank her and her support here on the program. Everybody at Montgomery County Chamber of Commerce, Harvey's GM in Radford, the NRV Super Bowl, Lawson's Mobile Home Supply, all those folks. Thank you so much. Thank you. Without your support of all the great sponsors, this wouldn't be possible. That's the one good thing that's happened in 2025, this program. Yeah, Torian Gray announced he's staying in Blacksburg. Staying at South Carolina, not coming to Blacksburg. TLB says if Franklin is all I keep hearing that he should be begging for the best teams as opponents, not running like a cockroach when the light comes on. That is a complete administrative dropping of the ball. When you have the opportunity to drop VMI and keep JMU, a team, by the way, that's in total reconstruction from coaching staff down to roster. And it doesn't matter the kind of spin that comes out of it. And we'll have people on this program that tries to, rationalize why they're dropping James Madison. But it's a terrible look. That's a team that was in the national playoff. That's the team that has been the best team in the Commonwealth. And you have James Franklin, the much ballyhooed hire, and all that money coming in. And you're going to drop them for VMI. And it's not a question of if that's who they're going to choose, because Matt Roan said that he's been talking with Virginia Tech officials already because they're going to drop that game. It's a bad look. It's a bad look. All right, now Coach Elmatian's chiming in. He's saying the Chop House as well. Chop House. Yeah, I'm not spending. I saw is that true, Wayne? $200 for steaks? I'm not doing that. Hell, my steak's better than that. Chop House seems to be getting the most play here when I ask for restaurants. And I do, by the way, love me some Mac and Bob's. But that doesn't feel like the right kind of place to go to. But yeah, 2025, not a great sports year. We're all skeptical now, pro sports more than ever. College sports more than ever. Tech's trying to turn the page, get football back up to snuff. Virginia was a good story. Dodgers winning the World Series, that doesn't make anything happen. We're all just hoping for a better 2026. And I hope we can start focusing on games. I don't know if we can put everything behind us, though. And that's what concerns me. I don't know, man. I don't think we're going to be able to put everything behind us because everything keeps popping up. You keep having federal investigations revealing games being thrown in pro sports. The NFL, the outcomes seem in many cases to be staged. Officiating is the worst it's ever been. And I saw a whole breakdown yesterday about the way the final week went, like the Steelers losing to the Browns, and they showed a play where a defensive back for the Steelers could have intercepted the ball, but he just lowered his head and let the Browns receiver catch it. I don't know. I didn't see the game. I don't know the context. And then the Ravens, who had been terrible on the road, they go out and blitz Green Bay at Lambeau to set up a one-for-all game in the AFC North. and people are wondering if it's legitimate. And that's what I'm talking about. The conversation around the NFL, even if it's all legitimate in terms of the game outcomes, the fact that people are having serious conversations and really doubt the integrity of it should be an issue for the league, but they just don't seem to give a damn. That should be troubling, but apparently it's not. Not enough to where they're going to do anything about it. Yeah, Prometheus. The worst thing about for me is trying to find the games. Yeah, streaming was supposed to simplify our experience as sports fans. Somebody posted it during the weekend, Prometheus, about the NFL games. You had to have 7 different streaming services to watch all of Week 17. The 17-game schedule, by the way, has ruined the NFL. That's added to it a lot. They had the thing perfectly balanced with the 16 games and the 4 divisions in each side. And the greed rules all. The 17 games makes no sense. It makes it all oblong. They added the playoff team. It takes away from every aspect of the NFL. The 17th game has not gone well. Let's see here. You can do the 34-ounce porterhouse for 2 for $95. Yeah, $65 for a ribeye. Yeah. Coach O'Mation really told me the Chop House is where to go. And I got many of it. Wayne, you mentioned the Chop House too, right? Brian Seigla from the Boundary Corner scheduled to join us next. David Smith and Mike Burnop. Final show 2025. Be traveling to Spartanburg, South Carolina tomorrow. 2 o'clock for the Big South opener for Radford against a much improved USC upstate team. We'll see how things fall for the Highlanders. TLB says, as damaged as sports are now, I can't see them ever being restored to their former years of glory. Well, that's true. Yes, that's my mindset, Prometheus. I'll stack up the way I grill my steaks here and what I'd use against what you get at restaurants. So it's hard for me to lay down $65 for ribeye when I know mine's better. I'm thinking Chop House might be the winner. Thinking Chop House might be the winner. Yeah. There he is. Speaking of winners, Brian Seigla. How you doing, my friend? Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. My goodness, we're here.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you, Rick. It's been a fun little week, an interesting week for, I think, everybody. We did a little bit of a trip down to South Boston since the last time I saw you.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's been a good time. How was your holidays?
It was chill. You know, all the kids came to me this year, which is good. I didn't have to go anywhere. So I was like, it's nice. It's nice. I got a Bigfoot figure. I'm happy.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, see, let me show you. Yeah. Remember the $6 million man?
Oh yeah.
There you go. Look, I got an Andre the Giant from Wayne, one of our listeners. See there? And he's got the furry outfit on.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's magical.
Yeah, I keep that right here beside me. Yeah, right here, baby. Stands right there. All right, so you had on the Boundary Corner podcast the state of the program, and people missed it, right? What was the result of that conversation between all the talking heads?
A good amount of alcohol was consumed.
During
the state of the program. We went for about 3 hours. It's usually these things are more marathon-esque than our normal shows. Although I would say we go longer than your average podcast for most of our episodes. But yeah, this was a little bit more of a marathon. You know what I think the consensus is everyone is happy with the James Franklin situation. I think there are some people that are still a little weirded out by the Brent Pry returning situation.
It's fair.
I think there are a few people on the fence about the parallels between Tebow and Ty Howell, but are optimistic based on all of the things that have been said about him from it probably would have been his job if it was up to Franklin a couple years ago, from that perspective. And I think everybody else is just kind of happy to see this staff fill out, happy about the way everything wrapped up from a 2026 class perspective, and is looking forward to what this transfer portal is going to look like when that opens up on Friday.
At what part of the podcast did you feel like that the beverage influence may have started to take over a little bit?
For me, it was probably about at the 2-hour mark.
Okay.
I'd had my brother came over for dinner before we cranked it up, so I'd had a few Elijah Craigs before we started, and then I was working on some Stone hazy IPAs during the festivities themselves. So
okay,
I was doing okay.
Good. I'll have to go and find it again and watch the ending once again just to see how you guys wrap things up. Did you guys speculate on what we're going to see first announcements out of the portal from Tech? Quarterback has to be the prime area. Did you guys come up with any names that you like best coming out of the portal potentially?
I think it's still back to Prabula and Grunkmeyer. We're getting we saw Grunkmeyer have a really good bowl game against Clemson. He's looked consistently better as he's gotten more experience throughout this season. Meanwhile, you got Prabula coming off an injury from Mizzou, but there were rumblings that he was on our list last year when we were looking to potentially whether Kyron was going to come back, what we were going to do at the quarterback position. So, I think there's you got a relationship there already with Prabula. Obviously, James Franklin and Ty Howell have a relationship with Grunkmeyer. I think that makes a lot of sense. For me personally, I like Grunkmeyer just because of the ability shown early and the fact that when you get him, you're getting a guy that you can kind of roll with for about 3 years. But I think you also need to bring in somebody that is experienced, a veteran that can, give him a challenge in camp. And it's going to be a different kind of situation this year with there only being the one portal window. So like, if you don't win a position battle in the spring, you're stuck as the backup barring injury. Or obviously, failure of the starter to get the wins that you want. But it's going to be really interesting to see who gets targeted in the portal. We also discussed how many people we're looking to maybe grab in the portal. And, we're talking probably 30 to 40, I would imagine, based on roster turnover. And how many of those are going to come to Penn State? I'd say probably about at least half of those are going to be Penn State guys, at least this cycle.
Is there a deadline? Grunkmeyer's not in the portal. So does he have up until the 2nd to announce for the portal, or how does that work with these guys? Do they have to be in 48 hours ahead of time? I haven't really looked it up, but I know he's not in the portal. I know he's still weighing his options as of yesterday afternoon.
My understanding is that the window the window doesn't close to get into the portal until the end of that time period. Obviously, you don't want to wait that long because you've then got to sign, get paperwork in. There's a lot of things that if you don't do it, if things don't go the way you want to from a administrative standpoint, you're kind of stuck out in the cold if it doesn't work out, right? So that's the problem with waiting, much past that January 2nd thing, is because you might know where you want to go, even already have had some conversations, but the paperwork itself can't start until you're officially in the portal. And that would potentially get you in a sticky situation if something on the administrative side doesn't go through.
I've seen a lot of people up from Happy Valley. They're speculating that one of the reasons Terry Smith was brought back early was to keep Grunkmeyer there, that his influence may help that. So I guess we're going to see if any of that works out, right? If that works out with him staying, we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, and it sounds like he would be good in Blacksburg or staying at Penn State. Yeah, probably his preference would be to stay at Penn State. But there's a lot of moving pieces, and with Matt Campbell there and him having his own, expectations and things that he would like to see from a quarterback standpoint. I don't know if Grunkmeyer is going to get the chance to be the true, quarterback competition going into 2026 that he would want, regardless of where the NIL money is for Penn State or Virginia Tech.
Well, I know regardless of who it is, they're going to get a good quarterback. There's so many on the market, right? It's just going to be a matter of the budget. We may never really know what they're paid, but I have no doubt we're going to get an announcement and Tech fans are going to be happy, right? Regardless of who that ends up being. Right?
Yeah, and we're probably going to get at least 2 in the portal. I think, you got the redshirt freshman coming back. It's already on the roster. You got the true freshman coming in, Hune. But you're going to need at least two guys above those two quarterbacks, those other 3 quarterbacks class levels, to be your 1 and 2 for 2026, if not further.
Yeah, I agree with you. You got to have the guy to start, and then you got to have the veteran guy to kind of and it's tough to find those guys. You have to find guys who are willing to come, right? They have to come and go, hey, I know I'm not going to be the starter. So you have to find that right mindset. Sometimes that can be difficult, right? To find a guy who's going to go right into that.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. And whether or not we go for a surefire starter and then, whether a veteran or a little younger backup, or whether we go for a true competition with some blend of that, is going to be interesting to see. I would like to see, if it's Grunk, I'd like to see somebody that could maybe challenge him to continue to improve. If it's more of a veteran, I'd like to see them bring in somebody that's a little younger that can challenge them. So it's going to be interesting to see what direction they go at the quarterback position. But if we end up with Grunkmeyer, I would be very happy.
And how many years of eligibility that guy has left, right? If they're just trying to get somebody in there to jumpstart things this year, like anybody gets all excited about freshman quarterbacks committing. But for instance, if Tech brings in a guy that's got 3 years left, Hune's never going to play in Blacksburg. He's going to transfer out in a year, right? I mean, you got to start looking at it that way too, depending on who you bring in and how he performs, obviously. But if you want a guy that's got 2 or 3 years, if he's going to play well, you're going to want to keep him here as much as. But then again, with the portal, it's impossible to predict anything, right? So
very much true. Yeah.
I mean,
everything is kind of a 1-year deal when you look at it, but it's a whole lot easier to keep guys that are in your building than ones that are trying to get into it. So
exactly. How about defensively? Where do you see the biggest need immediately? Defensive line. I mean, what do you think they're going to really hit on experience-wise coming out of the portal?
I think they're going to go pretty heavy at edge. I think when you look at last year's defense, I think inconsistent pass rush was a problem. I think they're going to bring in at least one linebacker, probably one of those Penn State linebackers, maybe even a couple of them, to really fill out that linebacker room. I think it's a good room, but I think you're probably looking at losing at least one of those younger linebackers in that room. You're probably going to need 1 or 2 guys, starting caliber players that can plug in there. I think safety, we're okay. So I'd like to also maybe look at a cornerback. I think, you like what you saw from early action for JoJo Krim. I think you liked what you saw in early action last year for Josh Clark. So I think, when you look at those two, you feel okay, but it's a very young room. I think you need to bring in a veteran cornerback with some high output to kind of work in that room with those two.
Yeah. And We'll see how that defense materializes now with Brent Pry focusing just on that as opposed to trying to be the head coach and that kind of getting away from him just a little bit. A lot of transition, man. A lot of transition with this program going forward. It's hard when you're getting no information. It's hard for people. All it is speculative at this point. You don't really know, other than the announcements that have been made on X, right, with guys who are coming to Blacksburg. We've had nothing official from Tech, no official releases, nothing about anything. And I understand it from a portal perspective, but I would have thought by now we'd have found something out about the staff for sure. I thought that would help in the portal a little bit just to have an official announcement, but I guess they've decided to do it a different way. Maybe kids don't care anything about that anymore because it's all about the money.
Yeah, and we've seen like the coaches, change their X handles and background photo and all that stuff. So like you got Doug Shearer getting announced yesterday, special teams coordinator. Obviously, we haven't got anything official on that front at this point, but it looks like that's a done deal. You're hearing some rumblings about who the cornerback coach could be. Is the safeties coach just wrapping up at Penn State this past weekend? Who knows? I think that's one of those things that I felt like if it wasn't going to be, some of these guys, I felt like we would have already seen word that it wasn't them.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah,
more, we would have had the negative confirmation even if we didn't get the positive confirmation.
Yeah, I like that. Who you like in the games coming up? I guess there's one, New Year's Eve night, and then the rest on New Year's Day.
Oh, man. I haven't looked at it too much at this point. I'm along for the ride at this point because
I feel the same way.
There wasn't a whole lot of like the first round kind of jaded me a little bit of kind of what that looks like. So, you got Miami, Ohio State's going to be interesting. That's probably going to be the one that you got to circle as like the one to watch for me. But I mean, it's going to be some interesting matchups out there for sure going forward into this playoff. What about you? What's your marquee?
I'm the same way. I think everything that's going on with the sport and all the corruptness and how bad the portal is. I go into it. I used to look so forward to this type of thing. The bowls were so important. You have a whole day of bowl games, man, when we were growing up. And even when you're a little older, you couldn't wait. Now, these bowl games are worthless, and I'm going into the playoff kind of feeling the same way. Okay, I'd like to see Indiana do well. I like Signetti. I like Mendoza. He seems like a good kid. I hope Miami. I'd love to see them upset Ohio State, right? Keep the ACC flag going. But beyond that, I don't have a dog in the fight, so to speak. I'm like you. I'm just watching.
Yeah, like I actually enjoyed the first round, the kind of the way things shook out, just because I like the home atmosphere that you get with these things. Like that round feels more authentic to me. For whatever reason, because I feel like the bowls should be the bowls. I think the playoff should be the playoff. But I don't know. It's from a Hokie perspective, I'd love to someday play a Rose Bowl game. That's kind of all I want to see. And everything else can kind of work itself out. Just kind of we'll see if Miami can kind of make a deep run, show the ACC. It's like, hey, they actually do belong in here. That was of the decisions made by the committee that were questionable. That was probably the least questionable in my opinion, just because of the way they kind of got screwed in the conference championship setup there. Because more than likely they go there, they win, they get the automatic bid, and we're not even having that conversation about whether they belong or not. But to that point, they played themselves in a situation where they didn't have the decision on that matter. So
yeah, that's true. Well, listen, my friend, thank you so much for jumping on, and congrats for the continued growth of the Boundary Corner podcast. And it's great. I hope people are taking the time to watch. I know a lot of our people here talk about watching it all the time. So Happy New Year, my friend, and things will start to get better for you. As someone who's lost both his parents, it hurts. It's a tough thing, but you'll start to see better days ahead. So we're thinking about you.
I appreciate that, Rick, and you have a good Happy New Year, and we'll see you on the other side.
All right, brother. Take care of yourself. Happy New Year. Enjoy the games, man.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right. We'll see you next. We'll see you in 2026.
That's right. Let's go.
All right. Let's go. Brian Seigla from the Boundary Corner podcast. They do a great job. Yeah, I got to go back and watch that final, hour or so when 2 hours into beverages. That's great. David Smith going to join us coming up. So everybody in the professional door text line wants to see the Bigfoot again. Here we go. All right. There you go. Wayne, he's a hit. Steve Austin. Sorry. There you go, chat. Hope you enjoyed that. Mike Burnop will finish up 2025 for us in the end. But in any event, we'll see. One thing you have to adjust to as well, right? Like, even a veteran coach like James Franklin, he's going to come in and piece together this first roster, right? However that looks, however much money they have to spend, whomever they bring in from a high school class. And this is the way it is. Now, you think about this too. Every coach across the country has to deal with this now. No matter how much work you put into, James Franklin and his staff put into this first roster, how many can you actually count on to be here in year two? Right? The money changes. These guys are now in year-to-year free agency. It's crazy, isn't it, to think about? And I'm talking even a veteran coach. The adjustment you have to make on the fly, which is why we see so many guys have gotten out of it, especially in college basketball. And the guys who can segue into full-time professional mindset and free agency are the ones who are going to survive. But, we saw this coming when we first rebooted the show on radio during COVID. I mean, it's going to be year to year. That's the only roster that you can ever look forward to. And this is why I've tried to tell people to keep a level head when they get so excited about recruiting. No matter how many young guys you bring in, if they're sitting for a year, and let's say other schools wanted them, they're going to jump in the portal. They don't want to have to sit. That's why I think it's important to pay attention to the class, how it's going to go. Yeah, but James Franklin, for me, this, just like everybody else, has not done it, has not had to deal with this the way it is, has evolved. And that's what I'm curious about. It's evolved to this point over the last year, calendar year, like we've never seen it before. I mean, this is just full throttle, year-to-year free agency until we get contracts, until we treat these folks as employees. It's the only way that's going to be salvaged, in my opinion. So we'll see. But for fans, it's just a constant adjustment of personnel. There are not going to be any more, or very rarely, I won't say there won't be, but there's going to be very rarely any more Hokies. There's not going to be Virginia Tech guys. There's not going to be Maryland guys or Michigan guys, or they're going to be just guys who come in to play for that school for however long that they're there. And I think that's something fans are going to have to adjust to. That's the other part of this, that it just goes back to what we were talking about yesterday as fans. How's that adjustment going to go for all of us? We're not going to have any choice because this is just the way it's going to be. There's not any choice. So now, how do coaches adjust? And then how do fans adjust to that? Because no matter, there's going to be certain exceptions to the rule, right? And like we talked about, guys this year were having contract re-signings with their school. Just like you're watching a guy sign a contract with an NFL team. There were kids sitting there, hey, I'm going to come back for another year. I got a big raise. It's tough, man. It's tough. And I think the programs that are going to have the success, not even necessarily the richest programs year in, year out, but the ones who can manage their account, right, their finances, and just understand, the ones who evaluate. And Brent Pry did a poor job evaluating the time that he did have money to spend in the portal. Where Tony Elliott evaluated very well. You feel like James Franklin's going to evaluate very well. And that's what it's going to take. How do you evaluate into that? And that's how the programs they're going to make it are going to be the ones that do that year in and year out now. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. But that's where we are. And that's going to be further evolution for all of us as fans and as coaches. And that's what I'm wondering, how much fans will continue to contribute with the eagerness that they have in the past. And that's a question that no one can really answer. It's up to the individual. So I don't know. We'll see. I'll disagree, Prometheus. Recruiting is massive nowadays. It's less important now than it was before. It's all about money now. I mean, if you're talking about recruiting a guy for a check, it's important. But you can't rely on guys you're bringing in to be here beyond 1 year. Right? Yeah, portal recruit. In other words, guys who are going to sign for money. So I think well, eventually I think recruiting will have, that word recruiting will have to be replaced. It'll have to be portal shopping. Portal shopping as opposed to recruiting. Because guys are not coming in a lot of cases to schools because of the school or the coach. They're coming because of opportunity. They're coming because of the money, first and foremost. I mean, you heard Coach Elmation and Coach Grantham talk about it the last 2 months. That's where we are. I mean, like I said, guys who are getting excited about high school recruits, when you need guys to come in immediately and contribute, those guys are going to come out of the portal. I'm not saying you do your whole roster that way. But it's going to be interesting to see. James Franklin says he doesn't want to use the portal very much. We'll see how that works. Going forward, I don't know if coaches are going to have much of a choice. You don't have the luxury to sit there and say you want to build a foundation of high school kids any longer like you used to. And that's my whole point. You can say you don't want to rely on the portal, but either way, let's say you are able to retain talented freshmen that you bring in. How much is that going to cost you every year like you're dipping into the portal? That's why you just got to look at it year to year. And Damien's right. We're seeing it in college basketball potentially. When you have guys mid-year who might be able to jump from rosters, wow. If that happens, that's going to cause the final implosion right there. That will blow the whole thing up. If that starts happening in college football, where guys you have paid and fans have donated to NIL, and then those guys are allowed to leave, ooh, That'll do it. That will end it. And maybe that's what we need to happen. I'll tell you what we need to happen right now. That guy, the Radford Hall of Famer, David Smith. Happy New Year, my friend. How are you?
My man. Happy New Year to you. Good morning. Hope you can hear me okay.
Yeah, we got you, man. We missed you. Hope you're doing well. How's the family? Everybody okay?
Everybody is great. Thanks for the shout outs. Hopefully yours is doing well too. Everybody's good to go, man. It's cold today. And for those of us that follow me and you, we hate cold weather.
We do.
You and I hate cold weather. And
Can't stand it.
we just but it's going to make us love warm weather when we get through it. I don't know what we're going to do for about 3 months. We got to figure this mess out, right?
I know, right?
We are in it. The holidays are kind of over almost. We got New Year's coming up, and thank God for basketball. Basketball is perfect. It go right when it gets cold, we go indoors.
It's indoors.
And so we run to the arenas, and then we run back out. So I was just listening to you about the state of college athletics. A little bit caught you. I was in the green room.
Yeah, you were in the green room getting your cookies.
My cookies in the green room, and thanks for the ginger ale.
Hey, no problem.
Yeah, appreciate that. But Rick, until it's gonna have to hit the bottom before it gets fixed. It's just right now. I can't believe I've said this to you before. No one cares. I'm saying this, but I'll say it. How are all these people in the space of higher athletics? All these doctors and people that are high in education. You've got political backing around all these universities everywhere, and they can't figure out some of the most obvious stuff. And more importantly than not figuring it out is that they have no guardrails on any of this. Like any of it goes. And I heard John Calipari the other day talk about the state of college basketball. He talked about guys maybe going to 4 different schools, graduating without any degree. And then all of a sudden you've done all this and you're 25 years old. And where will you end up? Just what does it all mean? You don't have any attachment to any of the schools.
No.
So you won't, any record that you break will probably be just a single season mark. There will be no kind of jersey retirements, no career stats. And again, no one cares but you and I, because they're all like, it's a year-to-year deal. It's how they see it. And I was talking to somebody recently. I always thought that when NIL was going to happen, this is, and again, my wife says I'm way too naive for life. So I'm just this guy, right? I don't care. I thought that NIL was going to be the following. Hey, X quarterback at X school can now go and
me too
do a commercial for the local car dealership and put some money in his pocket. Or
me too. Yeah.
If jerseys are being sold out of his bookstore, he gets a portion of those now versus before. And I'm always reminded of the impact Michael Vick had on Virginia Tech and never got a dime for it. To me, I always felt that was always wrong, which is why I always felt like players should get something. I never saw coming that it was going to be dollars and agents
pay
for play. I did not see that coming. I'm not no dope. I understood it was happening underneath for years and years. I recognize that. I didn't see this being like this, where people are literally leaving on a year-to-year basis based on the highest bidder. And right now they got to get it fixed. And so you didn't ask for that, but that's my 2 cents on it. So.
No, and the part for me, and he's right. I hate the fact, and fortunately for you and I, we still take great pride of that Radford University, the educational
100%.
part. We just posted
100%.
The highest GPA in the history of our athletic program.
Absolutely.
3 point. I mean, it's incredible.
All the time.
It doesn't seem to matter at any level anymore.
It doesn't. Not as much as it needs to. Correct, Rick. Not as much as it needs to. But what I do believe is a place like Radford and places like that, which is never going to reach the highest pay scale for anyone, right? Relative to the power fours. We have to attach to something that gives us a brand, because the other stuff's not going to matter. Folks are going to, after all the deals didn't happen, there'll be places like ours and comparable schools that'll have pretty good players. And every so often you'll build a good one. And you hope that person finds a great place for it, gets their degree, and you still build the brand that way. Because at the end of the day, the school still got to adhere to some principles. At some point, you would hope. Right. You would hope.
Well, we'll see. It's dampened my excitement for the postseason college football. I mean, we'll watch because it's the games, but it's not the same. It's just not the same stakes for anybody, I don't think. It is for those schools, I guess. But for us on the outside, it's like, okay.
Well, You know, I hear you say that, Rick, and I don't disagree with a big part of it. Up until now, the NFL, which we're going to get into, which I've said to you, is the way you're supposed to do playoffs. What you've done during the year and who you beat and how it stacks up against others determines your seeding. So the whole college football thing, the playoff scenario, who gets in and who doesn't, that's messed up too.
It is.
So,
it is. It is.
So you got players who are jumping around, coaches who are leaving in the middle of playoffs, and then you can't figure out who should be in. Of all things, watch this. Maybe the NFL, and I heard you have a moment on that yesterday too, may have at least this part right. You earn your way in through your play regardless. And so no one can dispute that. You know what it is coming in. Right. I still like that they've got divisions. I still like that because those rivalries, Rick, are legit. If you don't believe that, ask Pittsburgh about Cleveland. How did Steelers go up there on Sunday and not handle business against Cleveland? Yeah. And again, here we are. Could put that to bed, and I see your skepticism. I got you.
It's all over. It's all over X too. People are wondering.
It's how in the God's name does the Steelers? But Rick, here's a weird stat that I heard or saw. Weirdly enough, the Pittsburgh, and we love Mike Tomlin, the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think in the last 4 years, against teams that are 8 games under 500, when they've had a winning record. I'm diving deep here.
Yeah, that's a deep dive.
Are 0-4-1. 0-4-1. In other words, and I think they've lost at Cleveland something like 3 or 4 straight times, something weird like that. Again, I'm not trying to act like I don't understand that there may be some stuff going on in the background. But what is funny, though, Rick, is division games forever have always been difficult. They always have been difficult. You and I, when we pick games, we always say, gosh, you know, the Giants, Eagles, they shouldn't beat them.
That's
then
true.
They do.
That's true.
And so there are things about it that you kind of go, that shouldn't make any sense. But division games, I mean, I think one year when Dallas was 1-15, I believe it was, only game they won was against a good Washington team back when Aikman was like a rookie or whatever. So it's been that way forever. But that one was really odd. Pittsburgh needed to put that to bed. Now they put themselves in the position where the Ravens have life, and we'll see what happens with that. So,
well, the problem for the NFL is perception is reality, and they've not addressed any of this. They continue to ignore it. And even if everything is legitimate, many of the fans don't look at it that way anymore. The conversations are centered around things not being real. I would think the league would have enough self-awareness to care, but they don't seem to. They don't do anything about the officiating, which, by the way, is at an all-time worst this year than I've ever seen. And then they don't have any explanation for some of these weird things that happen, and they just let everything go. And people now, just the fact that those conversations are going on, people are clipping that play in the Pittsburgh game where I don't know who the corner was, but he got there in plenty of time, and he lowered his head and turned away so the guy could catch the ball. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, well,
that
I think
does
you're right.
Look suspicious, but the league doesn't do anything.
Well, I think to your point, you've got to do something now just to quiet the noise. So now the full-time official, again, Rick, what did we just say about college sports? It's going to have to hit the bottom before somebody decides to do something. And so to me, what's going to have to happen is in the off season, they've got PR people too who are, if you're scouring X, they're scouring X. Hey, Mr. Goodell, there's some stuff going on we need to take care of. We got to quiet the noise. If nothing else, then make the officials full-time or more full-time. Then you can, at the very least, say you've done your part. But to keep doing nothing, it keeps adding to it. And one thing about the NFL, usually when it gets noisy about their product having credibility, that's when they kind of step in and do stuff. But they're officiating right now, and the game is so fast. And the officials are so not looking like players running around out there. And there's so much to watch now. And the players are, for lack of a better term, they're incredibly gifted. Now, whether we want to consider them the grunt work guys of the 70s, you and I can debate that all day long, whether it's Joe Green and whether it's Randy Gradishar or whether it's Manny Fernandez and all that. One thing we can say, these guys throwing the football, some of these guys throwing the football can throw it like nobody's business. And they're making plays and they're flying around and they're gazelles out there. And so the game, kind of like basketball, Rick, there was a time where people thought or thinking, can 3 guys keep up on a basketball court anymore? It's just so much space out there. So I think it's going to hit bottom before it comes back up. So we'll have to keep an eye on how that all plays out.
Yeah, kind of feels like it might be heading the same direction as college football. It's going to have to hit.
It's got to hit. and then when it hit, and when it hits, Rick, like most things don't change until it has to change. And it's like, you know what? I mean, like, I just, it's crazy enough. Like, isn't it weird that there was no Zoom or no Microsoft Teams before COVID hit? If you think about it, there was, and all of a sudden, a platform like this, it was rare before 2020. So sometimes it's made out of necessity, I guess.
That's true. That's true. Well, let's get into the results. Of course, the Ravens crazily went in and just destroyed Green Bay and Lambeau. That's also getting a lot of scrutiny. And then Pittsburgh happens to lose. So now we've got a game for the AFC North this weekend in prime time. Yay!
Well, what's funny, Rick, is, hey, Baltimore, there's a guy in that backfield. Turn around and look at him. He looks like a tight end. He looks like a defensive end. Derek Stinking Henry, Rick. It's not
pretty good, isn't he?
Wow, God. And what's so funny is it's so on brand for Baltimore to do what they did on Saturday night. And so I got a happy wife in the house. We got back in town from my mom's, popped that bad boy on, and watched Derek Henry decide to run the ball 36 times for 216 yards. And he probably could have carried it 20 more. He didn't look bothered at all about the workload. He had 4 TDs in the game, 6 yards a carry. But, Rick, here's the odd part about this. And I don't know your take on this. Something's going on with Lamar Jackson. Now, again, I don't know what it is. I'm listening to different people. I saw the injury he had a couple weeks ago. I'm not going to question anybody's injury. You and I played football a little bit in high school, that kind of thing. You can get hurt on things that people don't see or know. There are certain parts you can get hurt on. That lower back is not really protected by much. If you get kneed there, I imagine that can be bothersome to you. But again, the optics matter. So Lamar they ruled him out Tuesday of last week or so for the game on Saturday night. It was super early, like there's no chance he can play. And I'm thinking, this is for your playoff life. Now, again, I'm a fan of his. He's a 2-time MVP, and I'm going to assume that he's hurt. But here's the bigger point. Tyler Huntley comes in the game and did fantastic. He did fantastic. And because he was there, Green Bay had to know they were going to run the ball a lot, and they still were able to get 216 yards because Tyler Huntley also used his legs. He ran for 60 yards on 8 carries in the game. I personally think Lamar's just banged up from other stuff. That's my opinion on it. He's just not been healthy all year, so they're not going to try to do it. And the question is this, Rick, do they play him Sunday? And what if they play him Sunday and they lose? Now all of a sudden the scrutiny goes back against, oh, boy. Now, if he doesn't play and they lose, they'll feel like, well, you know what? We didn't have him. But, man, if he plays that game and they lose, there's a group of folks, you talk about X and the skepticism that goes on in football. Imagine how that's going to play out. But in the meanwhile, feed Derrick Henry. They ran the ball 53 total times for 307 yards. The other takeaway in that game, Rick, and I'm going long-winded on it, Malik Willis from Liberty, he showed out in the game. I'm not sure how much of the game you saw. I'm going to tell you right now, he looked fantastic to the point where LaFleur had to come out and say, easy, guys. Jordan Love is still our quarterback. If he's healthy, he'll be there because Malik Willis turned it out. He was giving Baltimore fits. And until a couple of miscues on snaps and protections and false starts and things of that nature, he was putting up a nice amount of points for them. So shout out to Ravens. As we talked about, they got the Steelers Sunday night in the winner-take-all, winner-go-home game. Green Bay's locked into the 7th seed. So it doesn't matter what happens to them. I'm sure their guys are going to rest. They got the Vikings at Minnesota on Sunday. So it'll be interesting to see how they play out. And closing the loop on that, they had a lot of guys on defense get hurt. Green Bay's been limping a little bit down the stretch. And so all of a sudden, they don't win the division. The Lions don't win the division. Congratulations to the Chicago Bears. And they're the NFC North division winners. And we'll talk about them in a minute. And you and I are on two sides of the fence on our board. We'll get into that in a moment.
Yeah. I think the Houston Texans are the best team in football right now. How about that for a statement?
That is not a statement, brother. They
go to L.A. and they destroy the Chargers. I mean, that defense speared the way the whole time. They just kept being consistent defensively. They had to wait for the offenses to catch up. And now I don't know of any team in the NFL that wants to play the Houston Texans. I don't as a Broncos fan.
Rick, I'd be nervous. If there's a team to be nervous about, and the AFC's got a couple of upstarts that people haven't been paying attention to, but if you haven't been watching the Houston Texans, who are now 11-5, who started 0-3, they started 0-3. Who's been hotter than them? This is their third straight playoffs with D'Amico Ryans, who we love, and was either you or I picked him as Coach of the Year coming into the season. Now, he won't get as many votes this year because of the incredible job that's being done in Chicago, also in Jacksonville by Liam Cohen, also by Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco, with all those guys hurt and backup quarterbacks in there. But they're the number one defense in points allowed. The Seahawks are second. Number one defense in yards allowed. The Browns are second, and the Broncos are third. 16.6 points a game, 272 yards. If you don't give up 300 yards in an NFL game anymore with these rules, you must be pretty good. And that's exactly what they are. And Justin Herbert was struggling the rest of all day long. They couldn't block for him. He's got that broken left hand. I think I read where he's going to actually be sitting out this week. The Houston Texans, Rick, are as dangerous as anyone. I heard Rex Ryan say, just like you, I think they might be the best team in football. Only thing they've got to make sure of, on offense that C.J. Stroud plays a clean game. Clean game. He doesn't have to throw for 400, but he can't have mistakes. And I give D'Amico Ryans a lot of credit. When Stroud went down, Davis Mills came in. It was seamless, Rick. Hey, take care of the football. We've got enough defense to do what we need to do. Those guys go and hunt. So congrats to the Texans. They win that game 20-16. The poor Chargers, they blew it any which way they could, Rick. They had an extra point that the guy misses, as well as missing a field goal. That game should have been tied late when they scored the late TD. Once that didn't happen, that put them in a situation where they now are locked into probably not being able to get any better than the 6th seed. In fact, I think Harbaugh's going to arrest Herbert this week. They're not going to the division. They're going to play you guys. And I think I read where Herbert's going to sit. So you'll take it. Go win your division. Get that bye. And as far as the Chargers, I think I read what Harbaugh said. He's just going to try to get his guys healthy. So your game's at 4:25 on Sunday. The Texans play the Colts at this particular time. They're still fighting for the division. So they're still trying to get the division. That way they can get the home seat as well, as Jacksonville will also be playing on the other side on Sunday.
And one more to talk about. That was the 49er game, the Monday night game against the Bears. Outscoring the Bears late when Caleb Williams missed a wide open receiver.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
That would have won the game.
All people are talking about is those missiles he was throwing throughout the game. And there you go. See, for those of you all that don't know, the guy that's the host of this program is a Jaden Daniels fan through and through, and he can't see this Caleb.
Got to get healthy.
Because he's painting fingernails, and you don't like how he act and all these things. All I know is this. The boy can play. He can, and you know he's 300. And let's see what he throw for 330 in the game. No interceptions, Rick. They're division champs. They're division champs. Your boy's hurt. Your boy needs to, by the way, and listen, this is not a hate on Jaden Daniels. I love him. He's got to stay healthy too.
He's got to get bigger. He's
got to get bigger. My sister said it. Baby, I hope he eats in the offseason. Like,
I know.
He's got to eat. But if you remember, Rick, Lamar Jackson was also very, very small.
Very similar. Yeah, very similar.
He came in the league, and now no one ever looks at Lamar like he's not a strong athlete. So it'll happen, but he is so fragile. Like his elbow he hurts in the season and those kinds of things. But I'm gonna make this Caleb Williams moment. So you relax for a second over there, bro. This is my moment. Caleb with 25 of 42, 330, 2 TDs in the game, took them back down the field in a game that didn't have a lot of defense. It's hard to think about the Niners in the Chicago. This was not the 85 Bears defense for sure in the football game, including the fact that the Bears, who lead the league in takeaways, got one to start the game. Purdy throws an interception to start the game. There's the Bears up 7-0. But Kyle Shanahan never strayed. In fact, I was watching the game quite closely. Kept throwing the ball. And Brock Purdy at 303 yards in the game, 3 TDs, an interception. I think he ran for 1 or 2 more. The Niners have won 6 straight. With all those injuries, they're still 12-4. What's concerning, though, is the fact that their defense gave up 440 yards in the game. That's got me hesitant. But then after watching the Rams last night go to Atlanta and lay an egg, they let the Falcons come in and handle that last night. All of a sudden, it's Seattle and them. And, of course, the Niners are sitting in the catbird seat, Rick. If they can beat Seattle on Sunday, they won't have to fly out of their place at all. They would host all the playoff games there, and the Super Bowl's there. So the Niners could be in a fantastic position. But if you hadn't seen Seattle play, it will not be easy. They're top 2 or 3 in the league in offense and defense, and they're just as solid as Houston is on the defensive side of the ball. It's probably why Baltimore's defense isn't as good. as McDonald was their defensive coordinator that went to Seattle. And so he's taken that over there. So congrats to the Bears. I thought the Bears shined, and even though it was a loss, they put up 38 points. They've got the Lions this week, 8-8 Lions. The Lions, tough year for them. A lot of injuries have decimated them. And the Niners, as we mentioned, have the Seahawks at 8 o'clock on Saturday night to see who will be the division champ and potentially the 1 seed in the NFC.
You know, it's interesting. I've seen a lot written, I'm sure you have too, about, we had a lot of coaching cycles that haven't worked out, but you see the assistants that went to certain places, right, that left. Like all of a sudden, Dan Campbell's being scrutinized heavily because of his record, of course. His top assistant goes, and you see how he's done with his program. St. Seattle and the Bears are immediate beneficiaries out of the evaluations they made when they hired their coaches, and those other programs, when each of those coaches have left, haven't been good. We haven't seen that a lot in coaching cycles, but that seems like two big hits right there in Seattle and Chicago.
And Leon Cohen at Jacksonville.
Yeah,
and,
that's right.
And Baker Mayfield in Tampa, they're starting to feel a little bit. And of course, Aaron Glenn, it hadn't been successful for the Jets, I should say, but he was on the defensive side of the ball for the Lions, and so you got to feel like that's had some impact too. You add the injuries into that, it makes a difference. And then the other side of that is Robert Saleh coming back to San Francisco on the defensive side of the ball. It didn't show up much against Chicago the other day, but you're out Bosa and you're without Warner. And they've held it together enough to get 12 wins and only 4 losses. So I think, Rick, you and I talked about it. You're in Denver. Who's your defensive coordinator? Your boy Van Joseph. Used to be the head coach. Coordinators are coordinators. Some coaches are head coaches.
Or coordinators, right.
And so some can do it. Again, Ben Johnson translated into it perfectly. Went right into it without any issue at all. Transitioned perfectly into it. But then you've got Aaron Glenn who's struggling a little bit. Now, they're devoid of talent in New York, and they have not gotten a quarterback at the Jets yet. You're not going to win. They were all in on Justin Fields. I was too. They signed him. I go, you know what? He played against him when he was with the Lions. That is, Aaron Glenn was the defensive coordinator, and Justin was in Chicago. He said he gave us fits. Rick, it didn't last a month. They already were looking out the side eye at Tyrod Taylor to play. And the Jets or any franchise, if you don't get that quarterback position fixed, you're going to struggle. And so you look at the Raiders this year. They took a chance on Geno Smith. Geno had an elite year last year, and he comes to the Raiders this year, and they're down again, and they're back in the quarterback market again. So it is so important to get the quarterback right. But to your point, get the coordinators right and get the coaches right as well.
How about the Raiders, by the way? Basically telling Max Crosby, you're not going to let you play. A lot of people are speculating because they wanted to go ahead and secure the top draft pick. He said,
"Oh yeah,
what do you mean you're not going to let me play?" So he left the building, and I'm glad he left the building.
I'm out.
Good for him. Yeah, he'll be with a different team next year, I'm sure. I mean, how do you tell a guy who still wants to go out there and go to battle with you when you know you've got 2 wins, you're not going anywhere, but you say, "Nope, we're not going to let you play. We think you're too hurt. I'm good." Well, then I'm not staying. Bye.
And by the way, Rick, he was a guy in the offseason that could have went anywhere. He says, I'm a Raider. I'm going to stay
right.
here.
He wanted to stick with the program. Right.
He re-upped. He stayed there. And the very things we talk about all the time, it sure is good to see somebody wanting to do that, not just jumping ship. No, I want to be a Raider. And he's thinking to himself right now, the only thing that's great about being a Raider is being in Las Vegas. That's about it. Everything else is just not theirs. But again, Brady's got his hands on this thing a little bit. You get the feeling that it's going to be a total blow up. They're going to get Mendoza. They're going to get Mendoza as a number 1 pick probably, or more from Oregon. Got to start the quarterback position. You got to get a coach in there that you think can get this thing right, and off we go. But otherwise, they're going to be a laughingstock, and you guys will take 2 W's every year. In your division until they get it right. That's how I see it. Yep.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. So a guy whose loyalty was not rewarded might lead to other guys not ever being as loyal ever again. We'll see.
He'll be a Cowboy.
You think so?
Cowboy next year. Why not?
All right. So how's the hot 4 looking? I guess is Houston number 1?
Well,
I'm jumping ahead.
No, they aren't number 1. I will tell you. This is probably the most different hot 4 that I've had relative to the years we've been doing this. The Jacksonville Jaguars, probably not getting enough love, but here they are at 12-4, winning 7 straight. They beat the Colts on Sunday. They host the Titans this week for a chance to win the division and have a playoff game there. And you and I early in the year were worried about Trevor Lawrence. Hey, now,
Not anymore.
Now we've got Clemson's Trevor Lawrence back.
Yeah, that dude.
This is the guy. Rick, this is the guy. It's funny. It's funny what coaching will do for you. Urban Meyer, not so much. Doug Peterson, not quite as much. Now you got Liam Cohen. All of a sudden, you got the right guy doing the right thing. They're at number 3. How about those New England Patriots? Mike Vrabel, my vote for Coach of the Year. But Rick, think about this. The Tennessee Titans at one point had Mike Vrabel, Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, all on the same team. And they decided no, we don't think we need to keep any of you guys. And so all they've all gone and done is win Super Bowls and get top division seeds. The 13-3 Patriots won the AFC East for the first time since 2019. They beat the Dolphins on Sunday. They will probably handle that. That'll wrap up potentially the 1 seed, depending on what happens with Denver. So they need to win and get some help. They're at number 3. Your Broncos are at number 2, my good friend, at 13-3, 8-3 in the conference. They host the Chargers on Sunday. You're like, why not number 1?
No, I don't think they should be even top 4.
Well, 13 wins are not to be sneezed at on the old Dave Smith Hot 4. So we're going to put you at 2. You can't run from that. The Seahawks are at number 1. They are 1-6 straight plus 181 point differential, which is crazy. Number 1 in points scored and number 1 in points allowed. Win, and they're the number 1 seed. And on Sunday, on Saturday, they will play the Niners. That's the Hot 4, brother.
All right. Well, I'll tell you, too, it's interesting, too, Trevor Lawrence and Cohen, remember they had that big verbal altercation on the sideline early in the year, and now they act like they're best friends.
They hug and everything. But you know what? Ben Johnson also was going through it a little bit with Caleb, because Caleb, he was giving him the business. He said we were fouling him up. Training camp wasn't beautiful for any of these new coaches. They were going in and they were trying to agitate and get these guys at a place where they could see this coming. Sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. But in the case of both of these teams, Rick, it's been great. And so congratulations. Think about it. If Vrabel and Ben Johnson and Liam Cohen, all first-year coaches with their teams, all these teams are going to be in the playoffs. So if you're the Raiders, you're looking around, you need to find lightning in the bottle. It also goes the other way because the Giants are needing a coach, and then the Jets, Aaron Glenn hadn't gone so well. But again, what does Aaron Glenn not have, Rick? Doesn't have a quarterback. What does the Raiders not have? Don't have a good quarterback play. No shot without good quarterback play. 0 shot without good quarterback play.
And we'll see how these guys maintain it, because let's look at the other side of it. They're all having big years because they're playing a last-place schedule.
That happens.
In the NFL, right?
That happens.
Can the Patriots do it next year when they're playing a first-place schedule? Can Caleb Williams do that when he's not deciding on the proper nail color for the game? Can Seattle do that, going forward? We'll see.
But remember, Rick, here's the funny part about that. There is also years when you played, like if you say, oh, man, we got to play the NFC East. And then there's times when they're terrible. But coming into the season, you think, okay, there's Dallas and there's Philly. Well, Dallas isn't going to make the playoffs. Washington last year was in the championship game of the NFC, and this year they're down. So sometimes you get a schedule, you think it's going to be one, and then it turns out not to be as good. So it just kind of comes both ways. You got to beat who's in front of you. You just do.
I think Philly and Houston will be in the Super Bowl. That's my pick.
Let me tell you, that would not surprise me.
That's my Super Bowl 60 pick.
Now that Carter is back for Philly, and he was a game wrecker against Buffalo the other day. And gosh, Josh Allen wishes he had that throwback. Oh my goodness, he had 2-point conversion, perfect play, and he couldn't make the throw. But the Eagles quietly they're not setting the world on fire offensively, but their defense is legit. And so to go to Buffalo and hold them to 12 points, that's saying a lot. We'll see if their offense isn't good enough, but they've got to deal with one of these West Coast teams that might can score, whether it be the Niners or whether it be the Rams or whether it be Seattle. If you're the Eagles, you probably want to stay away from Seattle, and you probably want to have more games come through Philly. But I'll bookmark that. I'll bookmark that. Eagles Texans Super Bowl prediction from your beloved host, ladies and gentlemen.
There we go. All right, so who we got coming up for our picks? Final week of the regular season. A lot of guys are going to be sitting. Certain programs will be sitting starters. Yeah.
There you go. Well, Rick, coming in, you and I both were 3-2. You are at 2 games behind me, 28-27. I'm 30-25 as we head into.
Hey, I'm over 500. Wow.
There you go. So these games will wrap. This will be our 60th picks of the season as we close out the regular season. We're going to start with the Panthers and the Bucks. Panthers and the Bucks, 4:30 Saturday game on ESPN/ABC. Who do you like? Carolina at Tampa.
Where is that game?
At Tampa.
I'm going to go Carolina. You're terrible.
Me too.
Tampa Bay's terrible.
I'm taking them too. And Rick, remember early in the year we were big fans of, and still are, of Todd Bowles. Things are dicey there. Now they've won 4 straight divisions. I don't think it's going to happen to him, but something's amiss there.
Something's
too.
not. Yeah, he's lost a little bit. Yeah.
So we'll see if that can get cleaned up. The night game, the Seahawks and the Niners. Seahawks are at San Francisco, a 13-3 versus a 12-4, 8:00 game. San Francisco.
Wow, that's tough.
It is.
Who'd you take? Did you take Carolina, or did you take Tampa? Okay.
I took Carolina.
I'm gonna go with the Seahawks on the road.
I'm gonna take the Niners. I thought about the Seahawks. I'm gonna take the Niners. I'm gonna take the Niners because my brother and brother-in-law will be happy that I'm doing that, and I can't go with who you're going with. I can't go with who you're going with here. We got to change it up. In a game that I didn't think was going to be important, but it kind of is. The Saints are at the Falcons, a 6-10 versus a 7-9 Falcons team at 1:00 on Sunday. Now, here's the interesting part. Atlanta played like they were playing for something last night, and they're home again. If they win the game, it can potentially knock Tampa out in a weird way. I don't quite understand how, but it involves tiebreakers depending on what happens in that game. Who do you like in that game? Saints at Falcons. Saints have been playing pretty well lately.
I'm going to go with the Falcons as long as they continue to wear that. I think they're going to go permanently to that next year, by the way. They get
the red helmet.
Horrible. Yeah, they're going to go back to those throwbacks. As long as they wear that, they're going to keep winning.
The red helmet I'm a fan of that red helmet.
Oh, yeah. Go back to that look. That's the 60s look, man.
It's the look. And Scott Van Pelt said it last night, says that you should never take that red helmet off. That red helmet, boy, they played like they need to, too. So you go take the Falcons. I'm taking the Saints, just to be different. I'm going to take the Saints just to be different in that game. Okay. I probably feel like the Falcons are going to win it. But in true Falcons form, they've done this earlier this year. They went to Carolina and got beat 30-0 all of a sudden. So we don't know who we're going to get, but we've got the picks made. Here we go. We got the Chiefs at the Raiders. Yes, the Chiefs at the Raiders. No one will want to win the game. No one will want to win the game. Listen, it was slim pickings on this week's games, Rick. Guys are sitting, guys are hurt, teams are tanking. You got the Raiders who don't really need to win to get a best pick. You got the Chiefs who are limping home. And by the way, here's a prediction way too early. They're going to be back and better next year. Just mark my word. They won't be down for long, by the way, the Chiefs.
I'm going to go Chiefs because I think since it's Travis Kelce's last game, he'll score a couple touchdowns. What do you think?
I will take the Chiefs. And I just don't think the Raiders are going to be interested in winning the game.
No, they don't want to win.
I don't think they'll be interested in winning the game anyway. And then finally, the Ravens at Steelers. And so however we arrived at this, we are now here. And so it'll be a win or go home situation. There is nothing about all of the scrutiny or the criticism or the, if you want to call it, the wonkiness that goes on around how we arrived at this. Now you got to win the game to get in the playoffs. The game's in Pittsburgh, the last game of the season on Sunday night at 8:20 on NBC. Rick, who do you like?
For some reason, I feel like the Ravens are going to win the game.
I absolutely picked the Ravens too. I can't explain it. I just can't explain it. My concern is the Ravens' pass defense. Although Aaron Rodgers hadn't been throwing the ball a million miles an hour, hadn't been slinging it down the field. I just feel like the Ravens have decided now that whoever's at the quarterback, if you don't give Derrick Henry 30 touches in the game, they may fire the whole organization. So I'm going to go out and say the Ravens will win. If for no other reason, the fact that they're going to give Derrick Henry a heavy dose of it, even if he only gets 3 yards a carry, I feel like the Ravens are going to get it. And the Steelers would have blown a golden opportunity by allowing Cleveland to trip them up in Week 17. So that'll put a bow on all of our picks, Rick, for Week 18. As we close out the season, and next week we will maybe discuss who we think is going to be MVP, Coach of the Year.
And finally, did you see all the speculation about our guy, Mike Tomlin, yesterday, that he's apparently had conversations if they lose on Sunday, he's going to step down, he's going to leave the organization?
No, I did not see that. No.
I saw like 3 different articles about that. I don't know if there's any smoke to that or not, but you might want to keep an eye on that in the aftermath of what happens. Yeah.
Do you think, Rick, it's just because he's tired of always being scrutinized every year, or if it's just this 18 years, kind of like Harbaugh?
I think it's just 18 years. I think he's just ready to go. You know what? Whether it's TV, which I think he'd be great. He's got a great personality. Whether he wants to just reset and then maybe come back, whatever he wants to do, he's earned it. He's never had a losing season.
Never have.
Maybe it might just be it's just too long for him at that point. I don't know. I hope it's not true because you and I are big fans. But we'll see.
This is a whole lot like the Andy Reid and Philly thing. Same kind of thing. Same state, ironically, Pennsylvania, where you're talking about a guy who's been there.
It feels like it.
Same kind of thing. But Andy Reid, he wasn't on the sideline a week, and he signed with the Chiefs, and they have rolled ever since. So if you're Tomlin, you wonder if you're just gonna, if you got something in the background working. Hey, listen, maybe the Raiders will work for me.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Yeah.
Maybe the Raiders will work for me. Brady likes me, kind of thing. Maybe I'll go there, and I'll, expectations will be a little tempered. Maybe that's what he'll do, kind of thing. So, did we just start a rumor here on Big Dog?
I think we did. We just we'll be quoted like we were yesterday without knowing it all day. So
we didn't mean to do that, Ether. We didn't mean to do that, but we're not going to take it back. There you go.
No. All right, my friend. Well, listen. Happy New Year. We'll see if the Highlanders can get us a win tomorrow. Start off conference play.
Yeah. Where are y'all tomorrow? Where are y'all tomorrow?
We got Upstate at 2:00, so no show tomorrow. I'll be leaving in the morning to head to Upstate for our conference opener. Conference openers all the way around. College, it's here now. The important season starts in college basketball.
This is what we're here for. All the other stuff's been a test, and now here we are, the real stuff. So it's Wednesdays, Saturdays here on out, right? Wednesdays and Saturdays.
Absolutely.
All right, brother. Well, we'll see you guys next weekend. I think you're all home for Asheville on Saturday. We'll be there for that one. So
all right, brother. Take care of yourself. We'll see you next week.
Yes, sir, brother. My man. Take care.
All right. Great stuff as always from David Smith. Glad his schedule worked out that he could join us here today. He's the best. Hit us up in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room and, of course, on the Professional Door Incorporated text line. Joining us now on the program is that gentleman.
Can't hear you.
You can't hear me again? All right, let me send you another. That's weird. Hang on just a second, Mike. Let me this happens every time somebody leaves.
Can't hear you, Rick.
All right. I will send another invite here.
When he went off, it clicked.
Okay. Let me do that again. This happens. This is happening too often here. Let me send Mike another one here. All right. New invite going out to Mike. We'll let that go. Boom. All right. So let me kick Mike here. Bye, Mike. And I will let him know. Where did he go? There we go. All right. We'll get him back in here. That happened before. Louise Baker Team Long and Foster Realtors, 540-320-0382. She's responsible for bringing Mike Burnop here on the program each and every week. So we'll get him back here in just a second. He asked me, Prometheus, to give another day. Coach Grantham. Do I know more? Yes, but we're going to wait by his request. He's got to get things finalized. So that's all I can say about that. But yes, we do have no. There he is. Can you hear me now, Mike?
I can hear you. As soon as he went off, it clicked, and that was the end.
That's what it is. It's something about when there's three people on, I have to just send another invite. So now that I know that's the case, that's what I'll do. So Happy New Year, man.
Same to you. How was Christmas?
It was good. The kids all came here for a change, so I didn't have to go different places. So that was good. How about you? Yours had to be good. You were in Florida at the beach having great food. I know that.
Oh, my gosh, the weather was fantastic. Low 70s every day, and hardly saw a cloud in the sky, really, for the whole time I was there. So it was beautiful weather, had some great food, and, it was fun. A little bit of drink, you got to have a few drinks.
Well, come on, yeah.
3 margaritas.
Of course you do. And what was it? You were telling me the food that you were looking so forward to? What was it?
So there's this place down there called JB's. They have tuna tips. Tuna tips are like medium rare, and I mean they are just like they'll melt in your mouth. And they got this sauce, they call it what do they call it? Jambalaya, and then they have another one called something else, jungle juice. And man, you put that with those tuna tips, it's good. It makes you drink another margarita.
You don't mind that at all.
No, especially when they're on special.
Absolutely.
A mango margarita. That was delicious.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How many of those did you have? Oh, I don't know.
Well,
7.
a couple. And then we also had some alligator bites. You ever had those, Rick? Alligator bites?
I have not, but people have told me, sworn that they are really good.
They are good. They're very nice. They're good and tender. Have a nice taste to them. So, yeah, that's something else I'd recommend.
All right. I will try it. I'm going to try some alligator bites. You're like the 7th or 8th person to say, have you had alligator bites? No. Okay. Well, I got to do it now. If Mike Burnop's giving me the endorsement, I'm going to do it.
Heck yeah. Absolutely.
Well, here we are. College basketball conference schedule, man. And talked about Radford with David Smith. You guys, pretty big one, huh?
Yeah, got UVA. I know. The Wahoos are coming to town, and they're good. Should be a fun matchup. They say the game's sold out. I'll be anxious to see what the crowd is because I know the tickets that they had left that weren't sold, I guess they gave them to SeatGeek. And so we'll see what that student section looks like. And, it is New Year's Eve, and there's, the football comes on later at night. So I think there'll be a good crowd there, and it should be fun. They got a good team. It's going to be good to see Ryan Odom again, too.
Yeah, he's a great dude. Great coach, great guy. You're right. It's tough to have that game when the students aren't there, though, isn't it? You hate that this has to be the UVA game.
I know. It's like that. But, everybody's going to have a conflict somewhere because just like Stanford's still on the quarter system and, Louisville plays in an arena downtown. So they got concerts there and they got to work around that schedule. And, I think when the Hokies go back to UVA, it's the last game before the ACC tournament. So they could be on spring break. You never know. But yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is.
Well, how do you feel about this team? First of all, how close they are finally getting healthy again to having that full allotment, that starting 5 back out there?
Well, hopefully there'll be everybody there. And then I think Toby was a question mark. Originally they said maybe the middle of January, 1st of January. So we'll see how he is. He was out of the he was walking around on the scooter there for the longest time. And then the last game against Elon, he didn't have the scooter. So he was just walking with a smaller boot. So he's making progress. The last thing you want to do is have a setback. So I'm sure that they tested him when he came back after Christmas, and we'll see what it is. I'll go to practice this afternoon and shoot around in the morning and see what the situation is. But I would assume even if he is available, he probably would not play that many minutes just because of the lack of playing time. I mean, he's missed, I think, 7 straight games.
Yeah.
So hopefully, Neo should be back after being sick. And Tyler Johnson had that ankle. Hopefully he'll be okay. And Doran had the back issue. So hopefully they'll be all healed up and ready to go because they'll need to be at full strength or as close as they can.
Well, and the good side of that, the depth they've been able to build without him. I mean, some of those guys have really seen some integral minutes. So coming into conference play, that can be huge as well.
Absolutely. And when you think about it, you were down 19 points to Elon the other day, came back and won the game in overtime.
Yeah.
There's some guys that got some pretty good experience. And, Isaiah Pasha, the kid from Delaware, he comes in and gets 11 points, has a couple of really good plays, gets a block at the end of the game. That does a world for his confidence. That's 2 games in a row. He's had extended minutes and made the most of it. So, yeah, that means your depth has gotten a little bit better. And Coach, when you go in there and play well, Coach can trust you. Yeah. And he's not so hesitant to pull the plug on you if you make a mistake or have a turnover or whatever. Ben Hammond played like 43 minutes in that game. So he was taking the place of Neo because you didn't have the point guard and played really well.
Louise Baker Team Long and Foster Realtors, 540-320-0382. As Mike Burnop joins us today on the program as we head into 2026. One more bit of business to take care of for everybody. Basketball here at conference play beginning on the other side of 2025. Tech and UVA. What time? Is that a 6 o'clock tip? When is that game?
No, it's afternoon. It's 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. Okay. So you'll tip off when we do. Okay, great. We'll be able to keep up with it then down in Spartanburg. Okay.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's plenty of time to get it done for the football game, right?
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, that is going to be nice. Good looking forward to that.
All right, so we haven't gotten a lot of movement yet on football, but we see the staff through X coming together. Looks like they're just about done. A few more position coaches to be announced, but the portal on January 2nd, now that's where all the focus has to be, right, coming up.
That's when the fun begins. Yes, because you're going to see, obviously some of these Hokies have already declared because they know, I guess, their situation. Guys like Pop Watson and, the backup quarterback, and then Garrett Rangel. He was another backup quarterback that had a relationship with Philip Montgomery and didn't play. So he's got another year left. And, you guys, Cam Seldon, a little bit surprising to me because he was a second leading receiver. I was a little surprised at that because I think he's a good player. I kind of hated to see him go, but that's one of those things. You're going to see more of that. But when the portal opens and they know exactly what they have and what they need, you're going to see a lot of movement for sure. And it's going to be fun to watch that 15-day period there starting January 2nd.
Yeah, that's a great point, Mike, you make, because people are going to say, well, wait a minute, they didn't make that many announcements the first few days in, but they've got a couple of weeks. You don't have to necessarily have it all front loaded, right? So
yeah, and there could be some situations where you might have a chance to get a guy that's a really good player at some position, and then the guy that's there now may say, this doesn't look good for me. Yeah, so I maybe better get into the portal before it ends. And so you'll probably see some of that movement as well.
That's a great point. You kind of have to wait for the shakeout. There might be some guys you have relationships with on other rosters, and they say, wait a minute, yeah, why are you bringing that guy in? Well, I'm going to go ahead and enter tomorrow. See you later, right? And you might be able to snare a guy or two. So
yeah, and it's a quick window too, man. It's like speed dating. You better be right. I mean, you got to get this thing done quick, and you only got a couple of weeks. So, that there is no spring window anymore. So, what you're going to get after this window here closes, that's it. That's what you got to go with.
Well, and I feel like everybody's going to be keeping an eye on the quarterback situation. What do you think you think they're going to bring in a couple guys? You got to find the right guy who's going to come in to say, okay, I know I'm going to be a backup to what starter you're going to bring in.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you got the one kid coming in that's a freshman. So that's, going to take a little bit of time to work. I think they'll bring in at least one good one and maybe two. I think you can never have enough quarterbacks. You can see that it takes a couple to get through a season in most cases. And 2 years ago, it took three of them, right? So I think you got to have at least three quarterbacks, and we'll see what happens with that. I know he's looking hard. He's got some options out there. They've got the money to buy one, so to speak, and I think they'll come up with a couple good ones for sure because you got to have them.
Well, that's right. That's a position he can't miss on. And Hawkins coming back at the running back position, it takes a little pressure off of that from having to be, okay, let's go out and having to spend some. That's a pretty premium portal piece for a lot of programs. So it's good that Tech doesn't necessarily have to overspend there now.
Yeah, Marcellus, he's a good player. Hawkins, he had a good year, had almost 800 yards and played really, really well. It took him a while to get going, and they were splitting carries there for the longest time with the bully. And so I think that, and then Overton, came along really strong. He was a good, highly recruited kid, and came along pretty strong those last 2 or 3 weeks. So I think he'll be an important piece to the puzzle as well. So, yeah, I think that certainly helps.
As you look at the team, obviously both lines need some guys to come in and contribute immediately out of the portal. What are your two biggest needs, other than quarterback, obviously? If you're going to pick other positions, Mike, what do you look at that you think James Franklin's focused on right now as he recruits out of the portal?
Well, I think you can kind of see it's the lines. He's a big believer in what happens in the trenches. And I think it's so important that you get a good offensive line, a good defensive line. And I think that's where the total focus is make sure you got enough guys, enough depth in those positions to be good. And I think that's been kind of a stable here the last few years. The defensive line the last couple of years has been pretty good. I mean, you look at Copeland, and he had a good year this year. Look at 2 years ago, they had a couple of All-Americans, right? And guys had a bunch of sacks. So I think the offensive line this year was young. They had to work together with Matt Moore, trying to piece it together. It seemed like week after week. But you got a couple of those guys that are coming back, and so I think that's important to keep those guys there. But that's where it's going to be. It's going to be in that offensive and defensive line. You got to be good in the trenches. That old saying, it's what's up front that counts. That's kind of it.
It is. Mike Burnop joining us on the program. Thanks to Louise Baker, the Louise Baker team, Long and Foster Realtors, 540-320-0382. Well, I know Louise had a great 2025. She's looking forward to 2026, right?
I bet she is, man. That interest rate went down. I bet she's excited to turn that calendar and get some houses sold. Heck yeah, Louise, we wish her a Merry Christmas. I'm sure she had a great one, and a Happy New Year, and thank her for doing what she does, obviously. And yeah, I know she's excited about the new year coming up.
Well, let me ask
you. Trending in the right direction.
Trending in the right direction. That's true, Mike. You know restaurants down in Roanoke. What's your go-to place? You want to take your significant other to a nice place, like I'm going to have to do. What's a good place in Roanoke to go? We've been asking people here today.
Frankie Rollins. That one in Salem is closer. It's easier to park at. The menu's pretty much the same, but they got great food there, as does the one downtown. And 419, I love that place too. They got really good food, and you don't have a parking problem there. Sometimes when you go downtown Roanoke, it's a little tough because you got to walk, you got to park, you got to worry about all that sort of stuff too. But 419 is good. Frankie Rollins is good. There's some other good places down there too. There, a lot of people like a couple of those Mexican places. I don't eat a ton of that Mexican food, but I've heard it's good. So yeah, there's a few down there.
Been to the Chop House? People were mentioning the Chop House. I've never been to there either.
I've been to Chop Houses before, but not this one.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that would probably be a good place as well.
Okay. All right. Well, that helps. That helps.
When you going for? Is this New Year's Eve you're talking about? Or?
No, I'll be gone New Year's Eve. This is like after New Year's for birthday, and I got to get somewhere nice when I get back. So yeah,
I got you.
I didn't want to just go to the run of the mill place, since I'm missing
absolutely.
It. Who do you like in the quarterfinals? Who do you like coming up here on the games? One, as you mentioned, New Year's Eve, and then we get 3 of them on New Year's Day. Who do you think advances?
I think they're all going to be good games. I'm just glad that you got some quality opponents against each other. And I think, when you look at those games, I think any of them can win. But I still think Ohio State and Georgia, maybe in Indiana, are probably the 3 best teams. We'll see what happens with that. The Miami-Ohio State game should be fun. I can't believe the line on that thing's almost 10 points. That's pretty amazing when you look at the defenses. Yeah. And not like Ohio State's offense is putting up tons of numbers against really good defenses. They played a couple good defenses and didn't score many points. So, I think you still got to like Ohio State, though, and Georgia, Indiana. But we'll see. It should be fun to watch, though. It should be some great TV.
I'm pulling for Indiana, and I'm pulling for Miami. I like to see Miami keep the ACC thing going. So
yeah, the ACC had a rough day the other day, man. Like every bowl game, they lose, and then UVA, the one you want to lose, right? They win.
UVA got it done. Got it done. Yeah.
That was a high-scoring affair.
It was. Well, Mike, thank you, man, for jumping on, and I hope you have a great beginning to New Year's, and it will start off tomorrow, right? With Tech.
Yeah, it's nice.
That dub against UVA. Yeah,
it's going to be nice to be home for that, and then have a little New Year's celebration maybe, and then I guess we start on the road at Wake Forest on Saturday. So now the games are going to come fast and furious. At least 2 a week. You're going to be home and away, and sometimes twice away.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, it's going to come, as you know, and but that's a fun time of year. This is where it counts, and this is where you better protect your home court, Rick, and you better try to steal some on the road if you want to get in that big dance.
That's the whole recipe right there. You can't lose conference home games, and you got to win a handful on the road. And if you do that, you're going to be in good shape.
Yeah. Bottom line. That's it.
Bottom line.
And you got to stay healthy, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Have a good call tomorrow night with you and Zach, and we'll see you on the other side of the calendar, man. 2026.
Yeah, sounds good. Happy New Year, Rick. You have safe travels down to Spartanburg, and I was just rode back through that area the other day, coming back from Florida.
It's a nice area. Spartanburg's a good area.
Very nice. Yeah, it's very nice.
It's a good town. It is.
Yeah. All right, Rick.
Brother.
Happy New Year.
Safe,
Happy New Year to Louise. Yep, same to you.
Absolutely. There you go. Yeah, happy New Year to Louise Baker. Louise Baker, Team Long and Foster. Great stuff. Thanks to Louise. Thank you, Louise. Got to see Louise. She was at the Radford game on Sunday. It's great to see her. Louise is the best. She's family. She is. Thanks for her support. Good stuff, man. Good stuff from Mike. And we'll see. One morning, Rick, we're walking to the studio to find Bigfoot shredded on the floor beneath the hawk-like gaze of Creed. Well, even if not, I've got this guy. Happy New Year. I don't think he spoke, though, did he? He didn't speak. You can move the hand, by the way. I think it looks kind of cool that way. Yeah. And he's got to kind of be spread eagle. He stands better that way because he's ready to pounce on Steve Austin. Yeah. Any event. Thanks to all of our sponsors again. We want to thank Family Fencing, sponsor of our studio, McClellan Chiropractic. Thanks to Mark Hunley, right off of Peppers Ferry Road. And again, the aforementioned Louise Baker. We want to thank Pulaski County Sports Entertainment, the presenting sponsor of this program, Little River Heating and Air. Thanks to Charles Lee. The BDST Fan Question of the Week, brought to you by the attorney Ryan Price, 701 West Main Street. Thanks to National Bank, member FDIC, Travis Williams, Professional Door Incorporated. Thanks to Bob Christ and the Ready Set Fund. Thanks to Harvey's GM in Radford, the NRV Super Bowl, and Lawson's Mobile Home Supply. Hope to add even more sponsorship support coming up on the other side of 2026, which is when you'll see us next coming up. So many people to thank for this. I never thought we'd be in the position we are. The next goal now is to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're almost at 800, so we're getting there. But the one thing about it, I was having a hard time thinking about positive things sports-wise in 2025. The tech season was such a disaster. So much controversy with sports and everything, all the bad part of it. But the one good thing that happened for me was deciding to take the plunge. Bill Roth and West Durham kept pushing me to just take it there and see what happens, and to move this thing to YouTube. And here we are 4 months later, and we're thriving. We've destroyed all the logistics, the algorithm. We've matched and surpassed everything they expect from a live program on YouTube. Get accolades all the time. The biggest goal in the first quarter of 2026 is to try to get to that 1,000 subscriber mode. But thanks to everybody who's made this thing what it's become. It's all you, and it's our guests and our sponsors. So thank you. You're great. And I mean all that sincerely. Everybody who shows up every day in chat, and most people who aren't in chat, I get text messages from all day long or all week. I had planned to do a year-end show on New Year's Eve, but then the Radford schedule got changed from a 7 o'clock on New Year's Eve, when people were like, what are we doing? And then both schools agreed that we should play at 2. They didn't want teams driving back, throughout the league late. I get it. You never know what kind of morons are going to be out there celebrating early and deciding to drive. So I'll get back tomorrow night before the change of the new year, hopefully get back before the start of the first football game. But because of that, no show tomorrow. I had not planned to do one New Year's Day anyway. So we'll have a Friday show. The rest of this week will go like Christmas week. Whereas we took Wednesday and Thursday off, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. This week we're taking New Year's Eve, New Year's Day off. But thanks to everybody. I mean that sincerely. Prometheus, you're great. Thank you, brother. All the people who have contributed in finding us. Wayne, I don't know how to ever thank you enough for your support. You've been there for a long, long time. I guess ever since we rebooted on the radio back during COVID. We'll have a great host. Yeah. He would play with the camera for a little bit, probably knock it down, and then he'd take a nap. Yeah, then he would nap. He would just fall asleep. Take your gal to Dude's Drive-In, then scoot over to the Starlight Drive-In for a movie. Hey, I'd be all over that. A drive-in movie. Wow, I can't remember the last drive-in movie we went to. Wow. But I hope to expand things here in 2026, try to do more things separate from the live show. I got some things in the works. We'll see how it all plays out. So one great thing about having your own channel on YouTube is you can upload content anytime, right? We can do whatever we want on the channel. And that's what's great. So we appreciate everybody at YouTube. I want to thank them because I get a constant update every week from my own show handler, if you will, which is great because that means that they have shown an interest in what we're doing. And thanks to all of our great sponsors. I just read them off. Each and every one of you who watch and contribute, I wouldn't be able to do it without you. This is not necessarily an inexpensive dive, but it's okay. It's okay. Legal counsel Richie Davis. Oh, really? It's Will Stewart's birthday. Well, happy birthday, Will. I did not know that. I did not know that. Really? Will was 77 today. 77. Happy birthday, Will. And it's also my my fiance's birthday. That's the birthday I'm missing. So happy birthday to Janet as well. Yeah. Yeah. But thanks to all of our guests today. Damien Sordelett, Brian Seigla, David Smith. Great to have David back on. And obviously, it looks great for 77. I don't know how old Will is. I have no idea how old Will is. And, of course, Mike Burnop for joining us. I really don't know. I don't know. Well, he'll tell us. We'll ask him on Friday. Happy New Year to you, Morris, from the Palm Coast. No, it's not true at all, Prometheus. I was being facetious. Thank you, Morris. Well, thanks to you. I appreciate that and all your support. We have fun. We try to have fun. We talk about a lot of serious stuff, talk about some fun stuff, and we get into some great discussions. And again, what I love about it too is everybody, what I feel like has happened is everybody is comfortable sharing your own opinion and your own thoughts because that's what I want. You're not closed off. You'll never be closed off. I want people to be able to express how they feel about things. That's what it's all about. Sharing different thoughts and ideas. That's supposed to be human interaction, but we've lost our way. We've lost our way. But not here. Not here. But for me, this is he's going to start drinking Mountain Dew now. Got to be Diet Mountain Dew, Prometheus. Diet Mountain Dew is the foundation of you, or the fountain of youth. Yeah, it might be. It just might be. All right, so we're going to see now. I think it's down to a couple of different places. Frankie Rowland seems to be getting a lot of play, and 419. I'm getting a lot of love from 419. Wow. Okay. Thank you, by the way, for that. I had no idea. So that's good. That's good to know. Appreciate all your support. All right, everybody, stay safe. If you get a chance, you get bored, tune us in tomorrow on the Radford Radio Network, 2 o'clock. Text also at 2, though. I understand. Maybe you can, do some dual back and forth as the Highlanders and Hokies try to get off to good starts in the conference. Hey, really? Opal. Look at that. New Year's Eve is Opal's 15th wedding anniversary. Well, happy anniversary, Opal. I hope the lucky guy understands how lucky he is. Happy anniversary, Opal. That's great. That's great. Will was like 60, I think. Really? Okay. Well, he does look dashing for a 60-whatever-year-old, doesn't he? So, Opal, I'm telling you, I've gotten good choices for restaurants. If he needs somewhere to take you, we've got some. The peeps came through today. No, Wayne, she's not going to Panera. Okay, we're not taking Opal to Panera. She's the first lady of chat. She deserves to have a special birthday dinner. You know what? You know who you take to Panera? If you're a coach of a little league team and they lose, then you punish them by taking them to Panera. I dare you to chew through that toast. How's that feel? All right, everybody. Take care. Happy New Year. We'll see you on the other side of 2026. We'll see you on Friday. Be good. God bless. Stay safe.